of discussion for today. So number one is we're just actually going to start off with understanding accounting. So accounting 101. I know there are some people here, Susie, you've studied accounting, so you should be all over this. But the reason why I like to start off with this, even though we're talking about Xero, is because you do need to have a basic accounting understanding and knowledge in order for you to really excel and work your way through Xero. So we're not discussing anything that's too complex, but just really the essentials of accounting. And that just helps you, for instance, if you've got a transaction that you don't know how to code, it's going to give you that better knowledge to understand that as well. So with the Accounting 101, we'll talk about the basic accounting equation, the chart of accounts, so you understand how it sort of works in the background, bank reconciliations, and we'll run through some key reports and things like that. Now, I can see from the people that we have participating today, we've got some people who are business owners, staff members, accounts team. We've got a whole range of different people who are attending today, which is fantastic. So you might find that some things may be applicable whilst others won't. But I still hope to think that even though you might not be doing in your day-to-day work, having that background knowledge or that holistic understanding of Xero is going to help you in other areas that you might be using. So for example, if you might be doing, for instance, entering sales invoices, if you don't have an understanding of how that actually works in the background, i.e. how it affects the profit and loss or the balance sheet, or how that flows through to the bank reconciliation, then it means that you might not always be doing the right thing. So it gives you a better understanding and making sure that you make better decisions by having a holistic understanding of how the accounting system works. Okay, so again, welcome to Xero training. Let's get stuck into it. So understanding accounting 101. So basically, I remember my first day when I studied accounting at university. I went to QUT. I don't know if anyone studied there. And the first day of accounting was the introduction to the accounting equation. So what is the accounting equation? Or does anyone, actually, I'll get some hands raised. Has anyone heard of the accounting equation before? I'll get you to raise your hand if you've heard of this concept before. Rachel, fantastic. Oh, good. Oh, okay, excellent. We've got quite a few people. I know when I did this question before in a previous workshop, most people looked at me like I was crazy because I hadn't heard of this concept before. So, so the accounting equation. So basically, everything that you do in accounting balances. For every debit, there's a credit. So the accounting equation means that equity is equal to assets less liabilities. So let's think of, I always try to think of a house. So imagine the house that you own. I've got this house and say it's worth 500,000, but I owe the bank. So I've got a liability to the bank of 300,000. So my equity is going to be 200,000. My house value less my bank debt gives me the value of my house. So that's pretty much, I guess, what business is. So business is a whole heap of transactions that you're working through to effectively then lead to the equity that you have within your business. So there's one thing that really can affect the equity within your business, and that's your trading. So that's income less your expenses equals profit, and that profit continues to add to the equity within your business. So as we know, if your profit keeps going up, so the more money you make, then generally the more equity that you have. So the reason why I explain this equation, there are a couple of things that pop up all the time that people question and then don't understand in the background. And again, I'm bringing this up so that when we move through to the bank reconciliation, you can kind of think back to the accounting equation and say, how is this going to flow on to the accounts? So one of the big questions I get is drawings. So if you've got a business where the director, for example, or business owner is taking money out of the business, then unless you code it to wages, if you just put it to the loan account or to drawings, then it doesn't sit and reflect on the profit. But it does reduce the equity within the business. So these are the two things. So the income less the expenses. Does anyone know what report would show me the income less expenses? You'll be able to just type it in the chat box. Good work. Heath, you're amazing. Yes, exactly. Your profit and loss. That's fantastic. So That's what you look to for your profit and loss. So I actually got an email, I think it was yesterday, for a friend of mine that I just saw on Facebook had a baby today. So I don't know why she's emailing about me about this when she's just about to have a baby. But she said, hey, I've got all these drawings, but I can't see it on the profit and loss. And that's because it's showing on this report here, which is the assets and liabilities, which leads me to my next question. Can anyone tell me what shows me my assets, liabilities, and equity? What sort of report is going to show me that? I wonder if Heath knows this one too. Does anyone know? Ah, fantastic, Diara. Yes, your balance sheet. Perfect. Yes, that's right, Heath. Yeah, so your balance sheet. So these are the two really important reports, your profit and loss and your balance sheet. And really it's the marriage between the two that gives us a good indication of how our business is performing. So some people strictly rely on the profit and loss, but it's not just the profit and loss that you need to rely on. You need to be also looking at your balance sheet as well. So the fantastic thing about Xero is that click of a button, you've got those reports up and running, and they're very dynamic, I guess. And so there's a lot of flexibility to change some of the reporting functionality. So you can really draw out the information that you need about your business. And, you know, often people think that doing accounts, you have to do it because you've got to do your BAS, or you've got to get your tax return done, which is definitely true. But what they, I guess, neglect to see is that the thing that I value most about doing accounts is the information that you get. You know, it's all about being able to make better management decisions within your business by understanding your accounts. And that all stems from having quality accounts. So if your transactions aren't coded correctly, and if your accounts aren't even up to date, then you're not going to be able to make appropriate decisions about your business. So when I very first started my business, I ran my profit and loss every day and continuously looked at it and say, all right, well, my target for this week is X amount. Have I hit it? And, you know, it was something that I was checking in all the time. I wish I could do that now, but I don't get the time to do that. You know, it's probably once a week now instead. But there, so this stuff's really, really important. So it's cool. I can see a lot of people know some of these things already, which is fantastic. I hope I've explained it well enough, and I hope that makes sense. So your chart of account effectively then is your transaction listing for all those entries that you have in your account. Every time you raise a sales, every time you put something on your bank reconciliation, every time you process payroll, that is, you know, your chart of accounts that shows every single transaction. Think of your bank statement. Your bank statement is your transaction listing. It shows you everything in your bank account. Your bank statement is actually a form of a, you know, chart of account report effectively. So I say that because you'll understand that when we go and code some of the transactions with the bank accounts, the sales and the purchases, you're coding it to an account within the chart of account. And effectively, it helps us to group all these transactions and code them. And that really is the hub of everything within your accounting system. And I think a lot of people were very lucky because Xero is quite intuitive, very easy to use. But again, you need to understand these basic accounting principles, and that's going to help you effectively be better at using Xero. So I'm just going to read this here just in case I didn't cover it off properly. So chart of accounts, list of all accounts in your organization that has available to record your transactions in Xero. Yep. So having the right chart of account makes a really big difference. Some of you have already set up your Xero account, which is great. And some of you are still setting that up and working with you on that. But we need to make sure that we get all your accounts that are going to help you to make decisions within your business. So I have, for instance, a client who has sales and they just put everything to sales. But then I sat down with them. I said, well, actually, if you start to break down your different types of sales, then we can understand what's the most popular sale within your business, what's the most profitable service that you provide. And then from there, he started to have a thorough understanding of what he was doing and what was making him money. And then he was able to make better business decisions. So this is why I'm passionate about the chart of accounts, because it's such a simple thing, but once you get it right, it makes a big difference to you and your business. Bank reconciliations. So by raising your hand, who here has used bank reconciliations with Xero before? Awesome. Tiara? Not too many people? Heath, you've already used the demo mode. Good on you. I'm impressed. Okay, so some people have had some exposure. What about bank reconciliations in any system? What if you've done bank reconciliations, whether it's QuickBooks or MyOb or, you know, Excel spreadsheeting? Who here has done bank reconciliations? Years back in here. Okay, so we've got some more people who have done it. Fantastic. So basically, for those who haven't done it, I remember my first job. I think I was 17, and it was my first accounting job. And I remember when the senior accountant decided I was ready to learn bank reconciliation, I'd moved beyond doing the filing, and I was ready to learn bank reconciliations. And I had no idea what I was doing. She didn't quite explain it to me, and I was still young, and I didn't actually understand what the purpose of what I was doing. So I thought it would be good to sort of impart that and sort of make sure that we do, you know, ensure that people understand what they're actually doing when they're doing bank reconciliations. Because for me, I didn't get it. So hopefully, and I'm sure you're all smarter than I am, but I didn't even understand what I was doing initially. So, but effectively, bank reconciliations is allowing for you to match up what's in your bank account with what is in your accounting system. So it's taking all the transactions from your bank statement or bank account and making sure that it's coded to an appropriate account. So if you've got money coming in, it will go to sales. If you're paying fuel, it will go to fuel expense. So it's just coding off on all those transactions. Now, when I very first started accounting, or even when I learned accounting, some of that was manual. You get your bank statement and you'd even write it down in a book. And then we moved on to something like MyOb, where you would still have the bank transactions, but you would then enter it in, which is fantastic. I thought this is wonderful. There's so much time saving. But now, thanks to the likes of you know, software like Xero, the bank transactions actually import into the Xero accounting system, which means that you don't have to even enter those transactions. You don't have to put the date, supplier, the amount, all those sorts of things. It comes in, and you, in some instances, it will automatically recognize what that transaction relates to, which is wonderful. Or it might know some of what that transaction is about, but you've got to add more details, or sometimes it doesn't know what it is. But even then, you just put the supplier, the account, and away you go. Click of a button, and you know, it's just that easy. So, so there's a lot of automation there. Better still, even that is becoming, I could be talking to you in 12 months' time. You might even find that you might not even have to do as much as what you're doing now. We're introducing My Prosperity to our all of our clients, and My Prosperity just automatically codes all your transactions. So it knows when it sees BP, it knows that it's fuel. It sees Woolworths, it knows that it's groceries. So Xero is working and progressively improving in that. So effectively, hopefully in the future, a lot of those things are going to be even more automated. But it's already fantastic, and we'll go through that in just a moment. Now, yeah, so I've just got a question here. So what happens if you match the wrong transaction? That's a fantastic question, and we'll go through that. So, and that's why I wanted to go through talk about the general ledger and account transactions, because we'll go through some of that troubleshooting. So if you put the information in incorrectly, how do we go about fixing that? And I guess another thing as well is we do have clients who do their own bank reconciliations, and they might enter things in incorrectly and they might not pick up on it. But for many of those clients, we either do your BAS, which means that we review your transactions before we prepare and lodge your BAS, or we will do your end of year accounts. So again, in your end of year accounts, we'll review your transactions and make sure everything's fine, and then let you know if there's any issues. Of course, it's best to get it right in the first place, just in case we do overlook something or we miss it. But generally, yes, we do review the accounts, and we'll pick up on, you know, big major things that aren't quite right. So thanks for that question. Okay, so reports. So we already talked about some of the fundamental reports, your popular ones, which are your profit and loss and your balance sheet. The one wonderful thing about Xero is that there are so many different reports. I must admit, there is still maybe some extra ones that Maya did that Xero currently aren't doing, that I still miss to this day. But definitely there's so many different reports. And like I said, reporting is so powerful. That's what's going to help you to make better management decisions within your business. I have clients who run regular reporting to understand what is the most popular sales item within the business, how many they've sold. You know, you can even put your budget in there. So if you put a target, a monthly target, you can do your budget versus your actual profit and loss. Yeah, you could, we could spend all day strictly talking about reports. So there's a lot of stuff in there. The key reports, your profit and loss balance sheet, as well as your accounts receivable and accounts payable. So I think I'm going to put the hands down here, but I'm going to ask who here actually has accounts receivable, because I know I can see some people in there don't have accounts receivable in here. Some of you guys joining us today don't have accounts receivable because you've got automated, or maybe you work on a cash basis. So who here has accounts receivable? Might not even know what accounts receivable is. So that's when customers owe you money. And so you've got to keep a track of the people that owe you money. So yes, we don't have too many people, which is cool. It must mean that we've got a lot of people who have automated the collections, which is fantastic, or they might pay on a cash basis, or if you're like us, we have a lot of accounting packages. So clients don't really have, I guess, accounts receivable. And likewise, accounts payable is when you owe people money. So you'll be able to use Xero to track the bills that come in and then the people that you need to pay as well. So Xero will enable you to do that. Yes, so Tiara, you'll find that all in the reports tab. What you can do, and we'll go through in just a moment. So we've got a whole section just to go through, give you an overview of the reports. But when you go into the reports, and if there's certain reports that are your favorites, then you can favorite them. There's a little star next to them. You put a star, and then that way you don't have to go through all the different reports. You can have your favorite ones pop up all the time. So these ones definitely sit within my favorites list, and there's a few others that I also throw in there as well. There are some handouts as well. So you should have, I can see demo company, payable, receivable, balance sheet, and profit and loss. So if you're one of the ones that are looking at this wondering what is a balance sheet and profit and loss, then you'll be able to open it up and have a look. Most people, when you're first opening it, it doesn't really make sense. But again, that's why we're here. When we go through your end of year accounts, I like to spend a bit of time in going through those things and making sure that you understand what those numbers mean, not just saying, hey, sign here, but making sure that you actually understand what that means to you and your business. All right, so I'm putting our contact information here because we're going to move over now to Xero. So now we've gone through the overview of how you use Xero. We're going to move over and actually start running through the demo. But I put our contact information there because sometimes we've got people watching these webinars or even the recordings that aren't existing clients. They don't know who we are. And so I put that there because often I forget to even introduce myself. So that's more to help me to remember to provide you our information. So, all right, let's do it. Let's get over to Xero. So, all right, so we're in the demo company now. I can, to this day, I almost remember the exact day and what I was doing and what I was wearing when I first opened up Xero. And I know this sounds silly, but Xero has completely changed the accounting world. It's just so intuitive. There's so much automation, and it enables us to focus, and our clients, to focus on the things that matter most. So for you guys, rather than spending all this time, you know, possibly even a whole staff member to manage these accounts, this automation now is enabling our clients to spend more of their time on working with clients and, you know, doing the things that, you know, provide more value to yourself and your clients. So that's why I was so happy. And it was, you know, previously I was using Mile, but I don't mean any disrespect to Mile, but because I was always the biggest Mile fan. But there's just so many things in Xero that are a bit more intuitive and, you know, user-friendly, I guess. Certainly it's not perfect. There are things that some clients and ourselves have a little bit of a frustration with. But Xero is, they do move fairly quickly with making those changes and those updates. For those that don't know, Xero are just completely owning the accounting software world. So they're well and truly overtaking or have overtaken Mile. And that's just because, again, that they are innovative and always making those changes as well. I originally purchased, actually saw that they were so innovative that I purchased shares at $5, I think they were, and they're now worth $40. per share. So, and I watched an investment video on them the other day, and they said, hey, you know, watch these guys because they're just getting bigger and better. So, and please don't think that's a recommendation to buy Xero shares, but just more just sort of emphasizing how well these guys are doing. And this is all really important because at the end of the day, you don't want to be partnering or utilizing a software that all of a sudden someone's going to stop supporting or they're not keeping up with the times. What that means for you is that this system's going to keep growing with you and your business as things change. There's lots of big payroll changes. They're moving to single touch payroll, and Xero all over that. In fact, they're the leaders driving with relationships with the people like the ATO to help them put their systems in place. So it's all really exciting stuff. So again, I point this out because it means that you've got a system that's going to grow with you and your business. And I see some of the people that are here today, you've got wonderful businesses that are, you know, growing rapidly and doing wonderful stuff. So you're going to be supported by a good system. And the other thing with Xero as well is it has a lot of add-ons. So I'm going to put these hands down. And for those who have already used Xero or you know, are you looking to use some add-ons with your Xero? I don't know, some people might be using inventory systems or even payment systems, CRM systems or project management systems. Yep, if it will help, yeah, definitely, Heath. We would have to have a look at your processes and what you're currently using to see what's going to be suitable. But yeah, there's some really fantastic things out there that connect with Xero and talk to Xero, which is really cool. And Zapier, I know Heath, you already use Zapier. Yep. So some of those things will. And you can actually go into the marketplace. So if you go into Xero, into the main Xero website, so Xero.com, it'll have a marketplace there, and you can browse all the apps. I know for yourself, Susie, you talked about having a job management system for you and your staff. So there are really cool systems that match up with that. What makes it really cool is that you don't have to double enter all the time. It shares your contacts, shares your sales, so you're not having to use a separate system and then rekey it back in here, and then it will all connect up. So yeah, use Zapier. It is, you have to have the paid version of Zapier. So if you're not paying for Zapier at the moment, you do have to have the paid version. But yes, it will allow for you to zap, which is really cool. So yeah, so you're all covered, Heath, because you are paying currently. So yeah, you're all good to go. All right, guys, so for this first section here, I am just going to run through Xero and just give a general overview, just to give you an idea of the functionality and just so you start to feel comfortable. At the end of the day, with things like this, it's just playing with the system. You know, the more you play with it, the more you learn. And if you do have, I think you should have use of the demo version, so get in there and just play around with it. It means that if you put transactions in, you're not going to break the system, which is really good. But yeah, definitely just play around with it. That's going to be the best way to learn. Another thing as well is that Xero offers a lot of support. So they've got a whole different, I'm going to click up here. So if you go into the Help Center, you name, and the Help Center is really functional. So you can say, I don't know how to, I don't know, enter a sales. How do I enter sales? It will come up and it will have a whole range of videos. And if you're new to Xero, you should have automatically these videos that normally sit at the top of your window that say, how do you use this particular functionality? If you're like me, I still like to go through with someone. I learn a lot better if I've got something that's a bit more interactive and I can ask questions as I move through. And that's exactly why we're doing the webinar, so that you can, in fact, ask me questions. But definitely following the webinar, watch some of the videos, jump onto the Help Center. There's lots of information there. But when all else fails, come back to us and we can answer those questions for you. So again, we could spend days and days learning Xero. Today is really about an introductory session. Payroll is a beast in its own right and would take quite a bit of time to go through the intricacies of setting that up. So for our clients that are using the payroll functionality, we will be either arranging a one-on-one, or if we can do it in a structured way, possibly doing a webinar type, or we might do a combination of the two. But if you are interested in, we will go through payroll today, and if you feel that you still need more help, more assistance, can you please just either put it in the chat or send us through an email, and then that way we can make sure that we start making times now to follow up with you, because we've only got 2 weeks left until the end of the financial year, and we want to make sure that we're all geared up, ready to go. So so that's one area that can be particularly difficult. The rest of it I think we'll cover off pretty well today, so you will get a fairly thorough understanding of what to do. But again, we could spend days and days and days learning Xero. There's so many different functionalities there, but hopefully after today's session you'll be out of trouble. So the demo mode, I'll run through that. What I see is a bit different, Heath, than what you guys see. So, but what I might do, Heath, is for us to tee up a time. We'll probably do a Zoom session, and I'll run through it with you one-on-one if, again, after today you're still not sure. Of course, we're still a couple of you that are in today. Michael's been busy finalising your invoice templates, your statements and things like that. So we've got these beautiful invoice. Some of you, you're getting a bit of a refreshing invoice, so Michael's had fun doing some of those designing things. So we've got a few of those things still happening. We're waiting for some of the bank accounts to connect as well. Rachel was busy yesterday just sending out all the documents and forms and contacting a few of you to make sure that we've got your bank account feeds happening. So yeah, so we've got the team working on it. We've got quite a number of clients are coming over for this financial year. But definitely, if you feel that you haven't heard from us on a particular area, still unsure, just get in contact with us. So, all right, perfect. Yes, and we'll make sure that everyone's set up before the end of financial year, because we want to make sure that you hit the ground running, which is really important. So, cool. All right, so let's do it. Let's go through an overview of Xero. So this is the dashboard. So the dashboard is really just gives you a nice overview for what's happening within your business. So the key one here is the bank accounts. The reason why this shows up is because I guess it's one of the most frequently visited sections within your business. For some people, depending if that's your job to do the bank reconciliations. The good thing about the dashboard is straight away it tells you if you've got bank accounts that need to be reconciled. And it pops up like that. If you've got nothing, it'll say, yep, nothing to be reconciled. And it'll look like this. It gives you a beautiful tick. So it's very rewarding. So they definitely play with the psychology of how people feel. If you're like me, I strongly dislike when things are outstanding, or if there's things on my to-do list, and I'll keep working until I get a nice green tick that shows up. So I can imagine, Susie, you're quite a perfectionist and you like to have your accounts in order. I can imagine for you, you'd be working to make sure that you get rid of that blue button and to achieve that tick there. We'll go through bank reconciliations in just a moment, but again, that's where it all happens there. Xero has an amazing way that you can get into different functionalities in different areas in multiple ways. So to give you an example, invoices owed to you. So this is where all your sales are happening, and it gives you a nice overview for what's, if anybody owes you money, if you've got things that are waiting on payment. So just in a click of a button, you can jump on here and goes, who owes me money today? I'm going to chase them up for payment. And you can click on that and straight away see a listing of who owes you money. But the thing with Xero is you can go new sales invoice, but you can also jump up to here and go accounts and sales, or you can jump over here and go plus and add a new invoice. So I point that out because there's not going to be any particular way that's the best per se. Just comes down to personal preference. When I first started using Xero, didn't have this awesome plus tool, and sometimes I still, go accounts and sales just out of habit. But whatever works for you. So please don't feel that you have to do it a particular way. There's multiple ways you can do it, and it's just whatever works best for you. So that being said, so that's the sales there. The one that I've missed here is the accounts watch list. So for some of you, if you've already jumped into your Xero, or maybe you've already got Xero set up, you might not even have this accounts watch list because you've got to set that up yourself. So it doesn't just automatically display. But what is it used for? Basically, you use it for tracking key things that are important to you, or that you want to make, without you having to run reports, you want to see that straight away. So here's an example. They've got sales. So sales is a really big one. Without having to run a profit and loss, straight away you can say, oh, I've done $45,000 worth of sales for this year, which is really cool. You can see that information straight away. The accounts that I put here are things like wages payable. The reason why I put it there is just because I accidentally code things incorrectly. I also put some things like, for instance, telephone. telephone something that I'm watching because it seems like we keep going over, I'll put it there so I can just keep a running record of telephone. But other than that, mostly it's the clearing accounts that I'll put in there, things that should be Xero. My drawings, if I want to track how much money I'm taking out of the business, I'll put that in there just to make sure I'm not overspending. Or maybe I might see whether or not I'm entitled to a bonus because maybe I'm underspending. But those are some of the things that that you can put there. And we'll go through that in just a moment. So how you add an account to the watch list. Just by show of hands, can I ask, is anyone here think that they'll use the account watch list, or can you think of an account that you would want to add to the account watch list? Yep, cool. All right, so we've got a few people there. So yeah, definitely marketing. I think that's a good one for you, Heath. That's something that you're really focused on at the moment. So and thank you very much for very interactive, Heath. But yeah, no, that's good questions. Yeah, some really good stuff there. Yeah, so definitely putting those accounts in and adding those in, which would be great. With that there, as we're moving through as well, I hope you've all got a notepad and pen, or if you're doing it digitally, you've got you know, a word pad on your computer. But just make sure you're writing down these things as we move through. So if you're collating some questions and things that you think you want more information about, or when we talk to each other on a one-on-one basis, just write them down so that we can make sure that we help you to set those things up if you haven't already done it yourself as well. Okay, cool. So bills you need to pay. So it's just like invoices. So that's, and what I love about Xero is they use terms that people know, so they don't call it, like I call it accounts receivable because I'm an accountant and these are the terms that we use. But you know, it's designed for everyday people, you know, people who aren't accountants or bookkeepers, who don't use, you know, who don't do bookkeeping for a living. You know, invoices owed to you, bills you need to pay, which is fantastic. So you can raise a bill, you can see if somebody owes you money. I know I used to be in there all the time for the sales one, but we're on accounting packages now, which has been great for our business because it means that we don't have a big issue with this anymore. But it is really nice that you can click in there and see how that's functioning. And again, we'll go through each of these sections. This is just the overview of the dashboard, but we will strictly go into just sales and talk about sales and purchases. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this expense claims because they're actually decommissioning it and they're going to discontinue using it. And I actually find that it's fairly confusing. But if you do want to, if you have the Xero app, so for those who don't have the app, the bank reconciliation function is really cool. You can even raise invoices using the Xero app. So make sure you download that and you can use that. But the expense claim, pretty much when you take a picture, it will upload and you can lodge an expense claim. Again, the reason why I don't use it is because it's a bit clunky. It was one of the first things that they set up, and it's probably, for me, it's an area that's, you know, is quite time consuming. I think there's probably a bit more efficient ways to manage that. But if you are paying for things in cash, that's, you know, you can use that system. But otherwise, I recommend to everyone, make sure you use your bank account or, you know, your FPAS as much as possible. But we will go through that because filing, I know we did a tax planning session, and most people, the biggest drama they have is filing and keeping their receipts. So we'll talk about that in just a moment and how you can upload your files. And I'm actually writing it down because I don't have that on my agenda. So I'm going to write that down to make sure that I do cover off on that. All right, so that's the dashboard. Now, okay, so, oh, Niral's just joined us. Thank you, Niral. Welcome. I know you had a meeting today, so I appreciate that you were able to find the time to join us today. So thank you for coming and joining us. All right, so this is the settings function, and you can see here it says favorites and then only lists some of them. So I talked before Tiara asked about the reports. There's my favorites, and it lists the reports that I've made as my favorite ones. So if you don't have a lot of reports displaying, you simply just need to go in to each of these functionalities, and it's a star. It's got a little star on the side of them, and you just hit the star, and then that will show up as a favorite. So let's say I want invoice setting as a favorite. Now when I come back up to here, invoice setting is now sitting as a favorite. So you won't know what your favorites are until you start to play around with it and go, I'm always going into this particular one. I'm going to make it a favorite because that just saves me a few extra less clicks. So now I've got Chart of accounts is sitting as a favorite. This here is where you do some of the tweaking when you first set it up, and there are occasions when you still need to continue to jump into the settings functionality. But I mean, it's pretty straightforward. If you need to change a setting, go into settings. But I will cover off some of the key things that are in here. Most of the time, our clients don't touch these sections because we try to set them up properly from the onset. But it will have, for instance, here your tax rate. So if you need to be registered for GST, we can set that. Users. So if you've joined now, we've given you access to yours, but you want to, go and add your partner or another team member. This is where it's all done here in users. So let's have a look at that just now. Now with Xero, they are getting better at adding different functionality. You can't. I wonder if you can't see mine just now, but I'm in the demo mode, so I can't add a user to the demo mode. But that's where you can go, and you can change the different security levels for each of the users. So let's say, for instance, you've got a staff member, and you just want them to do sales, but you don't want them to do bank recs and run reports. Then you'll be able to add that user so that they can do that. Not everyone will have payroll access, so you have to give them payroll admin access. And that's really obviously, again, if we've got staff members, not everyone should have access to payroll. We don't want everyone jumping in and changing how much people are paid and things like that. So, of course, they provide that security level there. So if you're set up right now and you don't know or you can't see that everyone that you want has access to Xero, jump into users there. If that's something you're using all the time, hit the star on that one as well, and away you go. I will highlight with that one there, if you just make sure your email address is set up correctly, because that's where we send things for people to sign, like your BASs and stuff like that. So make sure you've got the right email address. Think about whether or not it's appropriate to have a personal email address or a business work email address as well. That's some of the key things you need to think about. Some of these other things you won't really touch too often. Organisation settings, that's to change the name of the organisation, what tax period and all the rest of it. A lot of these other things is where we'll jump in and move around. I prefer for people not to play around with those sections. Reports, okay, so we've got chart of accounts. Remember that was that thing that I talked about at the onset. This is really the hub of where all your transactions are coded. So you can't put anything into Xero unless it's attached to an account. And these are all your different accounts here. So let's say, for instance, that you are, what's an example? Okay, so Heath, you talked before, you've got marketing. So I can see I've got advertising, but I don't have marketing. So I'm going to actually add an account. So I'm going to add an account. It's just really easy, guys. Like you jump in here. There's also videos as well. So I'll even tell you how to go about doing it, but we're going to do it right now. So add account. Okay, so an account type, it even runs through how account types affect your report. So it gives you that overview that we talked about before when I first talked about profit and loss, balance sheet, the accounting equation, so that when you're adding an account, you can think about what type of account it needs to be. I have clients now that use Xero all the time, but to this day, we still add accounts for them because it's something they're not quite sure about. We're happy to do that for you as well. And sometimes I encourage people to do that because otherwise we've got people who are just adding accounts for everything and their financials and their accounting looks quite messy. You don't want to have too many accounts. You don't want to overdo it. But if you find that your reports aren't meaningful enough to you, then that's when I would recommend that you would add another account. So I'm going to add in marketing. Oh, actually, I should ask everyone. What can everyone tell me? I'm going to put actually use the chat box there. Can everyone tell me what type of an account marketing is? Is it sales, assets, liabilities, expenses, equity? What type of account would marketing be? Perfect. All right, we've got excellent. Yeah, it's an expense, and I think I accidentally almost said it. Thank you, Susie. Yeah, it's an expense. Oh, cool. All right, so we didn't have anyone say sales, so that's good. But you could be in sales because that might be appropriate. So yeah, so let's add that in. So we want to look for expense. Okay, so yep, here it is, expense. I need to pick a unique code now. If you've used Maya before, Mine would only allow for you to add accounts. For example, expenses had to start with a particular number with a 4 account. Income had to start with a 4 account. Expense had to start with a 6 account. With Xero, they're very unrestricted. You can pretty much make up any account code that you want, but I still try to, slot it in so it's in alphabetical order. But if I haven't looked up the account already, I might just go, okay, 402, I can see that's available, 402. But it doesn't sort by account number. It sorts by the name, which is great because, again, clicking back to mine would always do it by the account. So if you didn't put it in the right slot, it wouldn't display the way you wanted. But with Xero, you can actually drag and drop the accounts and display exactly how you want, or it will default to alphabetical. So it doesn't matter where I put it in because it's going to put it in an alphabetical way. Okay, so I've got marketing. I can put a description here, my marketing expense. I often don't complete that because I think it's pretty straightforward. But if you want to, you can add more detail. It defaults to GST, which is great. I'm registered for GST, or at least my demo company is, so I'm happy for it to be GST. I think everyone that we have here today is, or most of you are registered for GST. If you're not, obviously you need to untick that. So you would go GST free and make sure that it's not included, but I'm GST on expenses. I'm happy with that. You might be setting up a liability account that's not going to have GST on it, but in this instance, I've got my GST on there. Now, you would have remembered that when we were looking at the dashboard, I had that accounts list up there, and I said, only certain accounts display. This is where you set it up. So you go into your account. Obviously, we're setting up a brand new one, but if we hadn't set this one up, you click on the account, and it says here, show on dashboard watch list. Tick. I can now show that on that watch list. So that's going to come up, and it's going to start tracking my marketing expense, which is fantastic. So does that all make sense? Everyone's happy with that? Cool. All right. So let's go save. Cool. Thanks, Nyril. Yep. So I started that. And just to prove that I'm not making it up, I'll go back to my dashboard here. And I should see my marketing expense pop up now. Once our internet loads. Okay, there we go. So marketing. All right. And I don't have any transactions there because I've just set it up, but marketing is set up. So I know that if you had some, and I had some other people who had some accounts that they wanted to track, that's how you do it. So let's go back to the chart of accounts now. And let's say, for instance, I also wanted to track my drawings account. I don't know if this one has a drawings account. Yes, it does. And I also want that to show up on my watchboard list because I want to see how much money I'm taking out of the business as well. I click save and away I go. Now, there's another functionality that I'm going to go in there for that accounts list, and that's this enable payments to this account. Now, why would you use this? And that's because if you're paying something other than out of the bank account, and a common one would be your drawings account or your loan account, or maybe even petty cash, if you're setting up another type of account that you pay out of, you need to tick that button, and that will enable you to mark things off to that account. So if you've got, again, petty cash or drawings, then you can mark it off to that account. Hopefully that makes sense. Cool. All right. So that's pretty much the chart of accounts. Again, this is just very introductory and somewhat sort of an overview, I guess. And a lot of these areas I could spend all day talking about, but I just encourage you to jump in there, watch the video, play around with it, have a look at your chart of accounts and see that you've got all the accounts that you want. So for you, Susie, you're coming over from MyOb. So we will import in your MyOb accounts. I might even actually send it to you first to make sure that you're still happy, and then you can add in some of those transactions accounts that you think need to be added, or maybe remove things. Because if you've been using mine for such a long time, you might find that you've slowly been adding accounts, and it's gotten a bit messy. So you might want to take this opportunity as a time to clean it up. The good news is that you can import the transactions or the chart of accounts. So if you're coming over from another system, or you've been using an Excel spreadsheet, or you just want to set it up yourself, then you can do that, and you can import the file. It gives you a copy of a template there, so you can download the template, put it in, and away you go. Lots of removing. I would imagine so, Susan. We've had lots of people come over from systems like Mob or QuickBooks, and they've been running it for like 15 years. Some people go, you know what, I'm not going to even bring it over because it'd probably be a bit messy. Or the best way for us to do is probably put it into Excel, clean it up, and then we'll import it into Xero. That might be the best way to do it, but we'll make sure we check that with you before we start messing up the brand new Xero. We want to keep that nice and pretty and clean. Xero's tagline is always beautiful accounting. So for us, we just want to keep it as beautiful as possible. Alrighty, so chart of accounts, there we go. Now let's come back here. So we're back into the settings. Let's just keep going through some of these settings. Again, you can go through this in your own time and certainly suggest that you do. But I just want to make sure that I address some of the key ones that I know that you'll be using. So chart of accounts is definitely one of them. Another one's tracking. I wonder, I don't know how many people would use this one that are here today. For those that use MIBE, it's effectively using that job code. For me, I use, in our business, we use tracking for staff members. So if I'm doing sales, a lot of my clients use this for staff members so they can see how much sales each staff member is producing. You can use it for state-based, so you can do it by the states that you do the work, all different things, jobs. So if you're somebody who actually is doing construction type work, you might, do it for a job. So basically, it will enable you to run a separate profit and loss strictly for that particular code, which is pretty cool. So let's say, for instance, in our business, I want to see how Rachel's doing, our Rachel. And how much she's got certain sales targets she's got to hit. So I'll put that tracking on, and every time I do a sales, I'll track it to her. And at the end of the month, I go, okay, Rachel, I can see that you've done, X amount worth of billable work. You've hit your target, fantastic. So I'll just click into that just so. Actually, I think for you, Nora, I don't know if you're already using this. You might already be using this function. I'm not sure. But you might use it for the different properties that you have or the different businesses, because I know you're using the 1.0, but you've got a number of businesses that you have that you're running within this. So let me know if this is applicable if you're already using it. This here is an example, so they do it by region, but really the sky's the limit. You can pretty much track whatever you want. It's completely up to you, but effectively, so you understand the functionality behind it, it enables you to run reports that strictly, relate to a particular thing that you're tracking. So again, some of the examples are per staff member, region, particular jobs, different divisions. We used to, before we set up separate companies, we used to run our different divisions within the one entity. So I'd use that to go, okay, well, this is accounting, that's financial planning. Now we've separated, so it's a lot easier, but you can use it for that as well. Okay, that's tracking. So you just go there to click on that one there. Now, the other one that I'm going to go through, you can set up payment services. Now, I do want to ask yourself, Rachel, because I know that you've got BPay and some other functionalities, so we might need to have a look at some of those things. I don't know if you even need to set up the invoicing in Xero, if you send invoicing from that, or whether or not your online platform automatically does that for you. But you can set up things like PayPal and things like that. There we go, Heath, you've got Stripe there, so you can set that up for yourself as well. So that will enable people to pay off your invoice, which is fantastic. Obviously, you've got to have those accounts set up already. eWay, Braintree, all different things. So if you've got FPOS functionality that you're running, you might be able to do away with that and use this instead. So that's where you go and you set that up. The other one as well that's very, very popular is the invoice settings. So this is where Michael is at the moment. He's busy doing up your invoices. But this is where you can have, let's say, for instance, you've got different divisions. So as an example, Suze, you might have, the carpet laying as one particular invoice, and then you might have, cleaning as a different invoice as an example. So you might have a different invoice template for that. So you can set up different invoice templates depending on what you're doing. These invoice templates will have things like your statements, your invoices, your credit notes, all those different things. It has a list right here. And again, Mike's setting up one for you guys at the moment, so you don't have to worry about being designers and battling that at the moment. But he'll send that through to you. You can always make changes for yourself, or he can make the changes for you. Or if you just want to do it yourself, some people go, oh, I'll do it myself. Rachel, you know, Grant goes, oh, Jackie, I'll do that. He's a graphics designer, and so he had fun creating his own invoice. So, but yeah, so this is how you do it here. You can download it downloads it as a Word document, and you can jump in there and make that happen there. Set up your payment services. This is what I want to show you guys. If you do have accounts receivable and you have issues with people not paying, then you can set up these automatic invoice reminders, which is really cool. So what will happen is rather than harassing people for money, because as business owners, we don't want to be the ones then harassing them for money, you can automatically send out reminders. So 7 days, 14 days, you can change that and go, I want to send it 6 days for some reason. You can do that. Change the template. Maybe I don't want to be as aggressive, or maybe I do want to be aggressive, saying not good enough, please pay now. Yeah, you can change all those things as well. So which is really cool. So if I'd recommend that if you don't have time after this session, please make a time, but jump into general settings, have a look at your invoicing, think about if you even have accounts receivable, and if you do you want to send reminders out? Or you might decide you want to ease your way into Xero, you won't do it straight away, but you know where that functionality is when you're ready to turn that on. I won't go through currencies today because I don't think it's, there's probably be a minority of people who would be affected by that. But if you do deal in different currencies, that's where you would go to adjust those settings. Email settings, this is another one here as well. So let's say, for instance, you want to send an invoice, but I don't want it to send from Jackie at Hannans Finance. I want it to send from admin because I want them to respond to admin when I send out, or maybe accounts at Hannans Finance. You would need to come in here and say, when I send it, don't send it to, from the logged in user. I want it to come from the person, always do it from admin, okay? So make sure you go in and change that if you don't want them to be sending it to whoever's actually sending it. If you want it to always go back to admin or accounts, this is where it needs to be set up. And then you've got all these different templates. So if you're sending out an invoice, you might want to change that. You might want to make it a bit cooler rather than hi. You might say hello, throw in your own personal touch there. This is the standard template that will be sent out with your invoicing, and this is where you go to change those things. So your statement, it says, hi, here's your statement. To be honest, I think it probably needs to be a bit friendlier. I'd probably go, hey, you might have overlooked some of your accounts, you know, please have a look at this, or something like that. So, but that's where you guys go. Okie dokie. And the last one is the payroll settings. I'm going to talk about that in a moment when I go through payroll. We'll come back to that because I just want to, because not everyone's going to be using the payroll section. So I want to cover off sales, purchases, bank racks, and payroll is going to be last. So that way, because it is a decently sized session, if you do want to, you know, knock off after that, if you feel that it's not relevant to you, you can. Of course, I'd love for you to stay around anyway, just in case you might use it in the future. But I will do payroll at the end of this session as well. And like I said, there is a bit, quite a bit to it. So if you feel that we need to do another session, we're happy to do that as well. All right, so general settings. Let's move on to contacts now. So all contacts. Now, if you're using Zapier and it's linking to other things, often I find that contacts becomes, for some people, becomes their CRM, and this is where they'll go to contact clients, and this is where they keep all their information. So, you know, so you can do a search. So let's say I want to search for a particular company. Oh, there it is. And then I can give those people a call from there. Now, when you're going into contacts, this is different. So if you've used MyOb or MyOb, you can only have customers or you could have suppliers. With Xero, they can be customers and suppliers, which is fantastic. And you can even group them together. So you might put contractors together or different types of businesses, which is really cool. And when you click on the file, I actually have a whole heap of information. You can even raise invoices from that section as well. Like I said, there's so many different ways you can do things in Xero. They try to put all the functionality in everywhere possible so you can easily access certain things. But you can see a running trail of, you know, any bills that you've got to the client, who's done it as well. I think a fantastic thing about Xero is that you can keep a track of who's done it. I know people will say, hey guys, I can see that Gina Green within your office has come into my accounts and she deleted a payment. You know, what was this for? And say, oh, you know, because you'd incorrectly entered it. So that's good because you can see sort of who's done things. Not that we always sort of point fingers if someone's done the wrong thing. Sometimes it's just someone's raised an invoice, so you want to know who raised the invoice because you've got some questions about that. So there's lots of, it'll log and it'll tell you exactly who's done what. So like I said, you can do all different things here, edit the file, create new invoices and whatnot. So that's the contacts. I just wonder who here thinks that they'll be using the contacts as a CRM. Like if you're already, like Suze, I wonder, are you using MyOb already for, you know, if you want to give somebody a call, or do you use another system? Yep, so you'll be using it. Yeah, so yeah, so for those who are using it, another function that's got some smart lists, you can add new smart lists if you want. There's all different things that you can do. So straight away you can see, all right, tell me all the clients who are overdue for the last 7 days. So then I can just run through that list and call all those people. Or you can do it based on state. So maybe you want to sort it by state, or want to have a look at location. And I only want to see the people in Melbourne. This might be good for you, Heath, if you're doing certain things, then you can create that list there as well. All right, do we have any questions about contacts? And if not, I'll keep moving. It's pretty straightforward. You can import it. So Suze, we talked, you're working really hard to clean up your files at the moment. And you said, will that even come across? And I said, yes, it will. If you want it to, import and export, so we can import the information into here. So ideally clean it up first, of course, because we want it to be nice and beautiful, but we can import it in there. Yes, yep, and I agree, Heath. So yeah, definitely group those transactions. So if you've got, because you've changed the way that you do business now, your business model's changed a little. It'd be good for you to group those different types of customers or clients, maybe on a different, like for us, we've got a lot of clients on accounting packages. I might put, you know, accounting package clients on one group, and then I'll put the non-accounting package clients on another group. So I'll know if we need to raise an ad hoc invoice for them. So is again, a lot of the reasons why I go through these things, just to give you an overview so you know what the system's capable of. You may use it down the track and go, I remember when we did that training session with Jackie, she mentioned something about smart lists. You're not sure, you look at it, try to go to the support and the help, you still can't find it, then you contact us and say, hey, I remember you talking about something, can I get a bit more help with this? So yeah. Yeah, and you can make, so with the contacts, like if you've got, I just had a question about active and inactive clients, definitely. So if you've got, you can archive the contacts. So if you want to clean it up, or maybe you've created two, you can actually merge the clients as well. Let's say for whatever reason you've accidentally created too many, you can go and archive them. So yes, archive Bank West, I don't want to see them anymore. And then it puts it into the archive. You can retrieve them, so if you've accidentally archived them, but that just keeps your contacts nice and clean as well. And then you can use it to export the information, and then you can put it into your email. So if you're using MailChimp, if you don't have Zapier, and let's say you want to do an email blast out to everyone, you've got a campaign that you're running, then you can extract that information there as well. Or for whatever reason, someone's been adding in Xero, but it's not on your MailChimp, all those different things. So you can, it has this import and export functionality, so you can do those things as well. And you can quickly send statements, which is really, like you can send statements at about 10 different locations in Xero, which is really cool. So you can say, oh, all right, well, I want to send statements to this guy and this guy, and I want to do just these outstanding as of the 31st, and I want them to send a statement out so they can fix up their accounts, basically. Cool. All right. Contacts. Now, advisor. So most of you, if not all of you, won't have this advisor functionality. Don't worry, you're not missing out on anything exciting. It's really just to enable us to fix up the accounts if there are errors, you know, export and save things down if we've like to back up Xero, and do manual end of year journals to adjust your accounts and things like that. So all right, reports. So let's talk about reports. So I don't know if Tiara already jumped in there and played around with it already. Oh, okay. So I'm just going back to a question that Tiara had quite a while ago. I think I did answer it, but just in case, Tiara, yes. So if you've got an account that's already existing, you want to add it to the dashboard. Yeah, it was just another tick box there. So all good. Cool. All right. So, okay, let's go back into the reports. So you can go all reports. Like I said, you can add your favorites, which is really cool. I can see I've got some favorites there. Some of your key ones, your balance sheet, your profit and loss. We talked about those are favorites, age payables, receivables. The other two that I commonly add, one is activity statements. So if you're doing your own BASs, activity statements are a really big one. So I can't remember, Rachel, if we were doing yours or not, but I think we might be now. But yeah, you can jump on there and have a look at your activity statement. I know, Suze, you do yours still, so that's where you go. And Xero making a change so that as soon as you do your activity statement, I don't think it's quite in place yet. They've got a few extra things that they've got to sort out first, but you're going to be able to lodge directly from Xero. So at the moment, I don't know if you're doing paper form where you're sort of writing it out, or, but you'll be able to actually go, yep, all good, hit the button, and it will automatically actually lodge the BAS statement, which is either powerful but could also be a bit scary if you need to make changes, but hopefully a good thing there. So that's another popular one. And the other one, this was one of my favorite things about Xero when I first started using it. A big frustration that most people have, they say to me, Jackie, please tell me why I've got a tax bill when we don't have money in our bank account, because on our, and I'll say your profit and loss says you made 50,000. They go, I don't have 50,000. Where did that money go? This report can tell you that. So this report, you'll be able to jump in there and go, where did my money go? And it will tell you, oh, okay, I can see that you bought office equipment, which doesn't show up on your profit and loss, but it's capital in nature. And so that's where your cash has gone. I can see that you also paid some pay-as-you-go withholding as well. So you paid some tax. That affected your cash flow as well. So this is a really good report to go, where did my money go? So it'll have your opening and closing balances, and it'll tell you your net movement. So this is your net cash movement, my opening balance, my closing. Of course, I'm using the demo right now, so it's not quite, normally that would obviously have data. But yeah, it tells you where your money's going. So that's a really key thing. Again, especially when there's that disconnect between that profit and loss and the money that's in your bank account, you can see where the money's being spent. Often the key things that I'm finding are they've just paid their taxes, the drawings aren't reflected in the profit and loss, or they've had large capital expenditure that they've paid. And the last one is that they've got loan repayments. So if you've got a motor vehicle loan or any other type of finance, then that will display there as well. So, and you can actually run, set up report packs as well. So you might have your favorite reports that you like to run all the time. And there's actually a, no, it's not there. They hide it on us, management reports. I'll click that one there. The management reports does your overview, so your executive summary. It will tell you your cash, your profit, the movement within your balance sheet. Oh, this has got negative assets. That's not good. That means there's no equity within the business. The number of invoices you've raised. I've got clients that we look at that every month, and we've got certain targets. Average transaction value. I love that one. How much do we make on average from each client? Gives you a really good understanding of your business. Performance, are you making money, and what's your percentages at the moment? I've got clients, they might target 20%, 30%. We can run this report and make sure they're on track. Debtors, are you being paid on time? So average creditor days, average debtor days, really valuable insights and KPIs to give you an overview. And it's effectively the business health check of your business. So if you're jumping on there, you can see how healthy your business is. Has your profit and loss, your cash summary, all those reports we talked about is in this one here. So highly recommend that you jump in there, star that one so it comes up once a month. You should be doing this, if not weekly, but monthly is fine. I suggest as soon as your accounts are reconciled, jump in there and have a look at your business and make sure that you're analysing what's going on in your business. A lot of our clients, we automatically send that report out anyway, especially at least quarterly when we're doing when we're doing your BASs. But that like I said, the accounts just isn't about doing your compliance, doing your BAS and your tax return. Doing your accounts is about gaining meaningful information about your business and insights as to how your business is performing. So yes, very cool. I knew you'd like that one, Rachel. I thought that would be right up your alley. So yeah, really good insights for how your business is performing. So cool. So that manager report, good question, Tiara, because I struggle to find it every time because I've started now and they hide it a little. So if you go into the accounting, and yours will probably be hidden, so you've got to hit this ... which expands it all out. As soon as you find it, hit the star, so that way you don't have to go searching for it ever again. And then away you go, and it should display there in future. Okay, I won't go through the payroll reports, but the payroll reports are there as well. So it's a bit different. I think there was a reporting functionality in, I'm trying to think of mine, it's been that long so I can't even visualize it, but it normally had the different sections and then had the different reports under the sections. This one still has your sections, but you can go into reports and see all those reports in the one hit. Cool. All right. So we're getting there. Projects. Now, I'm not going to go through projects in too much detail other than to tell you what it is and how it works. It is a new module and functionality that has been added to Xero. It's only come on in the last 12 months. It is an additional amount that you have to pay. I'll explain why you would use projects, but I must admit, I don't think I have one client who's currently using it. It is really a simplified version of managing things like, okay, let's say, for instance, you're a graphics designer, as an example, and you want to track your time and how much time you're spending on this particular project. So you've got one particular project, you want to track your time and any costs that you've incurred. Maybe you've had to pay a subcontractor to help you on that project. So effectively, it will help you track the profitability of any particular project, including the time that you spent on it. It is a very simplified module, so they've added that in. But if you're doing anything that's overly sophisticated, like I'm thinking for yourself, Suze, that you're going to probably need an add-on that's going to do a bit more detail than that. Like I said, I haven't had too many people that have jumped onto that one yet, but certainly it might be applicable for you. I think it might just be the nature of the different types of businesses that we have just aren't using it. So. All right, like I said, I'm not going to go into detail on the payroll, but that's where you find it. We're going to come back to payroll at the end, but certainly it's got its own little tab up here. Accounts, so you can go to the dashboard to access at least your bank account sales and purchases and expense claims, so you can do that. But there's also inventory and fixed assets. Now, fixed assets, I must admit, I don't think I've got any client that goes into that fixed asset register. We mostly deal with small businesses, and so we manage that all for them. That's where you go in and you add your assets, you record your depreciation and things like that. It might be good for you if you've got a whole heap of assets that we've added and you want to see, what assets you hold on your register. Suze, I know you guys are accumulating vehicles over there, so you might jump on there and see what vehicles you have. I've broken the system now. It's thinking about it. It's probably because it's the demo, so there's loading data. So I'll come back out of that. So, yeah, so fixed assets, again, I don't have any client that really jumps in and uses that. But if you want to play around or you're curious, by all means, jump in there. But normally we take care of that for our clients. Inventory, I know the guys that we've got here today, I don't think we've got anyone who would really use inventory, but what you would use inventory would be is obviously if you've got stock that you keep on hand, but you can also use inventory for the different types of services that you provide. So, Suze, I'm thinking about you. You've got, for instance, if you carpet laying, or if you've got, cleaning, or, something like that, or pest control that you might have, you might create a different item code for that. So why you would create a different item code is it saves you from entering it in manually all the time. I think you would probably use this in Maya already. So effectively, it's just all those different item codes that you use. Let's see here, we've got golf balls white single. I'm clicking on this one now. So you can set up the amount. So I want it to go to sales. You might want it to go to sales golf balls, so you can strictly track that. And you can put in the amount. So it means that you don't have to go carpet cleaning, $500 every time. You can go one of carpet cleaning and it automatically has the prices. You go one large house, bam, it lists the prices, saves you from entering in, but then it also enables you to run various reports. So you can say, well, how many carpet cleans have we done? Or what's our most popular service? So that's going to enable you to track that. So if you've got Heath, even for yourself, I know that you've got different services you provide, and you might want to track different types of subscriptions that people have signed up to, you'll be able to use that functionality. I'm just thinking for yourself, Rach, I don't know, I'm curious to see whether or not you'd use this functionality. I don't know if you do a lot of invoicing through Xero, if your website or your back-end system already handles that. So I'd be curious to find out if that's how you're going to be doing it. And Tiara, you have a number of services, I know, so you might be doing your parties, that might be a different item code, and it's a fixed amount, or you might charge per kid, so you can add that in. You can say 5 kids at $20, or whatever the pricing is, 5 kids at $20, this is how much it is. Saves you from manually entering in those things. And the cool thing is that it also puts that tracking as well, so you can run all sorts of reports. How many kids have we seen this month, for example? So to set that up, you can either set it up when you're doing the sales invoice itself, or you can come into here and you can add a new inventory item. Some people would just do it ad hoc on the go, because they'll be doing the sales and go, what I want isn't here, I'm going to set it up now through the sales function. Or you might set some time aside for yourself and go, you know what, I'm going to think about all the different things that I want to track and that I use. I've already got an Excel spreadsheet or another software that I'm already doing something similar, so I'm going to set it up. And for yourself, you can also import that. So I'd just be wondering, Suze, if you'd be looking to import different inventory items, or if you'd set it up, or if it's something you're not going to use. I'd be interested to get that feedback from you, because then we can make sure it's set up correctly for you. Okay, yeah. So yeah, the if with Rach, yeah. So that's cool that it looks good for you. I do have some clients, for instance, I've got a boat building client, and they've got like a build function. So they might say, well, if I take as an example, this material plus this hull plus this glue plus this consumable, then it creates one item. It's a bit difficult to do that build functionality. I know Maya was a bit better at doing that. So if that is you, if that's the type of thing that you're doing, it doesn't quite cater as well for that. I think of it more as in like an inventory tracking item, like a single item, then it works really well. So so I think for a lot of people, I know for us it works really well. We use it for tax returns. So when we do our individuals at the end of every year, I can go back for years now and see how many individuals we have seen, because every time we raise a sales invoice, we code it to a separate account, and I can see exactly how many we've seen, which is really good, because obviously in our sales functionality, so if you have a look at our profit and loss, we break down individual tax returns so we can see the value. The problem is that the value doesn't always equate to the number of people you've seen, because our prices might have changed, or we might have provided discount sometimes, or whatever the reason is. And so it's a really good, gives us really good understanding for what's happening in our business. And you can see I'm so passionate about these things, and that's because I use these things to help ourselves and our clients understand more about their business, and it helps them to be better, effectively make better decisions about the business. I've had clients, I use this one report, this inventory report, for a plumbing client that we have. And he's not watching, but might be watching back, I'm not sure. And we found out that it was only the top, there was literally 10 items. So they have, I think there's probably about 60 different services that they generally provide, but it was just a top 10 items that they used that accounted for 80% of the work that they did. So what we were able to do was we were able to really focus on those ones and change the description so they were very generic, I guess, which save them significantly on invoicing time. So that's how powerful it can be. So to give you an idea, this client raises in excess of 100 invoices a day. And so there's a lot of manual data, or at least there was a lot of manual data entry. So what they do, and they've got very descriptive descriptions. So in here, they put a full description on exactly the process of that plumbing. So they'll say, prepped the site, cleaned up, installed this, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So, and they do that because it adds more value to the client. They often don't even see their clients because they do real estate work, so they only see the tenants. So they really break down the invoices so that when they get this bill, the landlord doesn't get shocked or upset that they've got this $600 bill and question what it's for. They've got the detail and really breaks it down. So for you, Suze, that might be something, because you do a similar type work in the way that you're dealing with real estates. That might be something that you might see value in, is to really break that down, or you might say, well, no, that's not something we need to do. But certainly you can actually build you can actually put quite a lot of text in there and really build that out and use up quite a bit of space there as well. So I know for you, Heath, I even got an email from you. It says, hey, this is exactly what we're going to be providing to you. You might be able to use that as well. So you might be, for this particular thing, this is everything you're going to get. And so rather than having a separate engagement letter or something, you might be able to just use the invoice to break down and use it as somewhat of a contract, I guess. That might be something to think about as well. Cool. All right, inventory. I'm just reading a question now from Suze. Yeah, and you can do a discounting function as well, so and which we can go through at the same time. But I think it would be a good exercise, and this is when we're setting these up for people, for our clients as well. It's a good opportunity to actually think about your business and why you do what you do, and maybe is your pricing correct. When we've done these exercises with clients, we've gone through the figures and gone, oh, maybe we need to work out a standardized way to price, because what was happening in some of the businesses, are getting bigger and bigger, and they would ad hoc quote these things all the time. And I said, you've really got to systemize it, because if you're seeing hundreds of different clients every day, you don't have time to just be manually thinking about it. You need to have this automation. So it'll be a good opportunity for us to sort of review those prices as well. All right, so, okay, let's have a look. So inventory, okay, so that's the overview, guys. I hope everyone's doing well. We're about an hour and 20 minutes in. I might just pause for a bit. I've actually got some polls that I'm going to throw at you guys, and I'm going to allow everyone to just have a quick break, have a drink. We'll do some of these polls just to break it up, because I know it can be quite intense doing it, so much learning in the one hit. And then what we'll do is we'll go into sales, purchases, and then we'll finish off with the payroll. It is, like I said, a bit of an overview, but encourage you to go through it yourself. And if you need extra and additional support, particularly with the payroll, because there's quite a bit there, of course, we'll provide that additional training to you as well. So, all right, let's throw to these polls. Okay, so I think I answered this question already. We'll see who's been listening. So I'm going to launch the first poll and see how we go with that. Okay, I'm going to read that. If a business owner takes drawings from a company, where will it show in the account? So number 1 is profit and loss, number 2 is balance sheet, and number 3 is both. Let's see how we go. I'm still waiting on some responses. Some people still thinking about it. All right. Still waiting for some people. All right, so I might, some people, I'll let everyone answer the question, still thinking about it. Okay, so we've got, I'll close that off now. So we had 50-50 between balance sheet and both. This is an interesting one. So if the business owner takes drawings from the company, where will it show? Generally, if you're taking drawings, it will show on the balance sheet, not on the profit and loss. I guess where that gets a bit tricky is if you're taking drawings and coding it to wages or directors' fees, but drawings generally is a balance sheet item because it shows as a reduction in your equity. Often it sits on the loan account or even the equity. And again, this is that problem that we have, that often people say, hey, I'm taking this money out, but it's not reflecting on my drawings. Or worse still, what happens is
some people think that they're making money, which they are, but it's not enough to cover your drawings. So you might make, for instance, $3,000 in profit. You think, oh, that's great. But if your drawings are $5,000, then you're actually going backwards. So there's different strategies and things. This is something that we have to really closely manage with our clients and work with them to make sure they have a good understanding of this, because we don't want you to think that you're doing all well in your business and then it's not enough to cover your drawings. But sometimes we do put it to the loan account, and that's a strategic thing, you know, because we want to try and manage the taxes that you're paying. If you haven't seen the payroll webinar, the recording that we did, if you didn't participate in that or you haven't seen the recording, I highly recommend. We did send an email out to all our clients. It's on YouTube. We did publish it also on Facebook. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend that you watch that, because there are some really big changes that are coming up in the next 12 months. And that's that we're moving to single touch payroll. So what that means is, as soon as you process a wage payment, you've got to also do a pay slip. It's going to be illegal if you don't recognize that, which is a bit crazy. But they're certainly bringing that in as well. So if you haven't seen that, highly recommend that you watch it. Michael has put the timestamps on that. So if you want to skip the boring parts of the bits that you already know potentially, just have a look at that, please, because there are some big changes that are happening there as well. Cool. All right, let me just click back to here. Oh, that's right, that's going. Now, one thing I haven't shown you that, I'm going to show you a little trick that you may or may not already know. But if you've used, again, other systems like MyOb, it'll open up various tabs that you have. The thing is, when you're using Xero, because it's on an internet browser, if you click on something, it will go out of the window that you're currently in. But if you don't want to lose, let's say you're in the midst of doing your bank reconciliation and you're not really sure what something's been incorrectly entered within your sales, and you want to go check it out, but you don't want to get out of where you're currently in, what you would need to do then is just hold down Control. So I'm holding down the Control button and then click on whatever else that you want to do, and it will open up another tab. So hold down Control, opens up another tab. So that's a really important trick. Because again, otherwise you end up closing out of what you're currently in. If you end up, you can be like me. I end up for sometimes like 12 different tabs there. So don't be like me. Make sure you're closing it off as you go. Otherwise it slows down your computer. But yeah, so you can use that control functionality. So who knew that control tip already? Who here is already using it? Suze, awesome. You've unticked. I don't know if you changed your mind. You don't know. So yeah, so that's another trick, I guess, as well. I'm going to throw to another poll, and this will kind of lead us into, I'll ask this question before we go into sales and purchases, so that to see if people know this, but then I'll answer it off for you as well. Oh, what did you miss, Heath? My question is that if you, did you already know that if you hold down Control, it will open up another tab? So it means you won't lose what you're currently doing. So for instance, if I want to go into reconciliation report, if I hold Control and click at the same time, it's going to open up another tab, which means I don't lose what I'm currently doing, which is fantastic. I can do what I want to do over here and then close it off when I've finished as well. So I know there's a bit of lag there, so hopefully the screen's keeping up with what I'm doing. Okay, cool. So, okay, let's go through this other poll, and that will lead us into the sales and purchases. So I'm going to throw this poll and launch that now. Got it? Awesome, Heath. Thank you. Okay, so our next poll is, when I enter sales and purchases invoices into Xero, they are entered as GST inclusive. Is this true, false, or you can do both inclusive and exclusive of GST? Got a lot of smart cookies here. I haven't had anyone answer it incorrectly yet. I'll just give it a few more seconds and then I'll close the poll off. Okay, cool. All right. I think everyone's got this one, which is really cool. So the answer to that one is you can do both. Yes, correct. So Yeah, so if some people quote or do raise the sales invoices inclusive, so you might go, well, our price is $330, and so when you invoice it, you want to see $330. And some people don't think of it as inclusive. They think of how much money am I making, which is $300, whatever the GST is, it is what it is. But when I raise my invoices, I want to do it exclusive. So you'll be able to do both, which is really cool. So that leads us on to sales. Let's get into sales. And sales and purchases are very similar. So I'm going to go through sales in a bit more detail, but when I do purchases, I'll kind of jump in there and show you a few things, but we don't need to go through in detail because they are pretty similar. The functionality is pretty similar. So like I said, you can go into sales and raise a sales invoice using either the new sales invoice, the plus function, through the customers. There's all different ways to do it, but right now we're going to do it through the dashboard and raise a new sales invoice. I can see, I'm just looking at the audience view and I can see that the Xero's, the screen's lagging a bit. Sometimes our internet, especially during the day, can be a little troublesome during the office. So I'm hoping that that's not too bad for you, but I will try and slow down a bit just in case that lagging is meaning that you're missing a few steps that I'm going through. Okay, so this is the sales invoice. Now, like I said, it's very intuitive. If you've used invoices before, this is going to be really straightforward for you. But pretty much, let's go through it. So let's say you're raising an invoice for Han Chang. Now, with Han Chang, you can pull up the information straight away. So you've got his information there. Xero actually has this functionality where it does, for some clients, it will, I'm not really sure how it comes through. I don't know if they have to be with Xero or if they've got to be listed somewhere, but it'll actually give the credit rating for some people as well. This could be a good or a bad thing. It can be good if you're raising an invoice for someone who's got a really bad credit rating. Straight away, you're going to question whether or not you should be raising credit for these guys. So that's really cool. Has the date invoice. Now you can set up the functionality in the general settings. You can go back in there and set up your sales settings. So you might automatically give 7 days, 14 days, COD. You can set that up so it will automatically put in that due date for you. But we haven't set it up in the demo file just now, so I'm going to enter that in. Now, with that there, you can just hit the calendar and go, it's due in 2 weeks, and hit the button there. But what I do, if it's not already set up, because I know, our payment terms, so let's say it's 14 days, I can hit plus 14 and tab, and it automatically works that out for me. So if you know that you want to give this client 7 days, so plus 7 days, it will automatically work that out. So that's a really cool function. Let's say you want to give them 30 days. I think you guys get the gist, but plus 30 straight away, it works out that day, and it means you don't have to try and use your fingers like I do and do a bit of this. It works it out for you. Of course, you've got that calendar, so you can just go, okay, 2 weeks time. That's where it needs to be. So invoicing. So this will be a key thing that we'll have to have a conversation with you about. When you're switching from one system to another, there's a couple of ways you can manage that. We can have the invoicing start from your previous invoice, or we can just set up a whole new sort of numbering system and then just kick it off from there. So let's say, for instance, you're up to 746, invoice 746. We can go into that general settings and say, you know what, let's just start with 1,000. And then we'll know that everything starting in the ones is a Xero invoice. Or you can even put these leading letters in there, so you can have it. And back in the day, all of Xero invoices used to start with INV. It's up to you. So I'd like you to write that down and think about that, please. So if you've got another system, so for yourself, Suze, just think about whether or not you want us to just continue on the number, or do you want us to start again, or start with another number. You might have thousands of invoices. You might want to start at 4,000, or maybe even just start at invoice number 1, and you know that from there these are your new Xero invoices. So just have a think about that and how it's going to be best for you. Everyone's got a different preference. Think about what's going to be best for you. Yeah, so 30 days end of month. So you might just, if you were, what I would recommend for you, Susie, if you're doing that, if you go into your settings and set up your your settings in Xero, you can set that up as your payment terms. So you can have that as your payment terms, so that I'm just quickly flicking around just quickly. And then you can go set up those sorts of parameters so that it will default to doing 30 days end of month, or default to GST inclusive and all those sorts of things. So we can set that up for you, and I'm going to make a note for myself just now. Sales 30 days end of month, so that way you don't have to do that every time. The system will just memorize that for you. So now I'll go back to my invoicing. All right, so I'm raising my invoice for Han Chang. I've gone through the date functionality, the invoicing, references. So if you're getting a purchase order for someone, you might want to put the reference in there. We use it sometimes because we use it in searching. So what's an example I can think of? I'm just thinking for you guys, a lot of you guys might not even use references, but the reference, you can do it. It doesn't have to display on your invoice. So you might use it for yourself. Actually, I think for you guys, Suze, we might be using the reference section for the address. That might be a really good search functionality for you guys. So if you want to go and search by address for somebody, then we can put it in that reference section. And it means that if you go back to an address that you've already done before, you can search for that when you go into the sales register, which will be quite handy. Or you can use it for the purchase invoices. It's up to you. Branding. So like I said, if you've got various branding, you can select that there. And as per our poll, amounts are tax inclusive or exclusive, you can change that there. Or maybe it's not, there's no tax at all, you can change that. Now, a heads up on this one, you'll have to watch that what it does is it defaults back to what it was previously. So if you've done a tax inclusive one before, and then you've gone and changed it, but normally you like tax exclusive, just make sure you check that, because sometimes we get emails from clients going, it's broken, my sales just isn't adding up. Just make sure you check that. But otherwise, you don't normally have to play around with the tax inclusive, exclusive, but just make sure you're mindful of that as well. Items, remember we talked about inventory code, and I said you can add it up in your sales, add a new code at the same time while you're in sales. This is where you go to do it. So let's say I'm looking for something and it's just not in here, then I can go new item and add it in as I go, or I might just pick it up here. So you can see here straight away, it says I've got however many, and it's 650, which is fantastic for me. I can say, actually, I was there for 5 days, and it's automatically calculating those things. I don't have to sit out with my calculator, work out the number and put it in, make a typo or miscalculation. I'm making sure that I'm getting it right from the onset, and ensuring that I'm using the system to increase the efficiency of the way that we process things as well. And I'd imagine for yourselves, Rachel, you guys, your team will be quite busy with invoicing, you'll be raising a lot of invoicing. It's important to build as many efficiencies as much as possible. So, okay, so that's that there. I hope that helps. Does anyone think that they will be using the item code? So who here thinks that they'll be using the item code? Yeah, cool. I'll be interested to have a chat with you, Heath, to see some of the things that you're thinking about using and making sure we set it up right for you. I think that would be cool. But yeah, I use it all the time. It's super handy, and you can actually, again, add a lot of text there. Like you can have that come all the way down and talk about your whole training program, for example, and build that in there. Oh, I should probably delete all that now because now it's got all this empty space. With Xero, it's got this really cool functionality where you can drag and drop. So let's say you go, actually, I want that item to sit over there. It's very dynamic. And if you make an error, you can also delete certain lines and you can add new lines as well. So this actual screen here is really dynamic and really functional as well, which is really cool. You can even just have a line for a title. So we always put accounting services, and I'll use that as a header of such. And then I'll go, yep, so work performed yesterday. I'm obviously making it up. You know, our rates, yeah, this is what it is. And then I'll go, yeah, bookkeeping services that we've done. And then I might just change my mind and go, oh, actually, no, I want to have that first. So I'll drag that up there, and then I'll services, yeah. You know, so you can see how quickly I'm sort of getting around there. I imagine, Suze, you'd be all over Maya, but before you know it, you'll be super efficient in raising invoices in Xero. It's pretty quick and easy. You can tab through functionalities. You talked about discounts. I don't know whether or not this will help you or if you'd use this, but let's say, for instance, that I was doing bookkeeping services. I did 5 hours of bookkeeping, but it was for we had a special running and we gave them 20% off. I can put 20% off here and they'll get that discount as well. So we might say to them, hey, if we do carpet cleaning, pest control, you guys will get 20% off. Then you can use that functionality. You can choose whether or not to display that on the invoicing. Just because you can see some of this information, the invoice is really dynamic and you can control a lot of those things. So you might not even want to see quantity. For us, we turned off quantity. We just wanted clients to see the overall amount and not necessarily see the number of hours for whatever reason. You might just, because maybe we're doing fixed fee pricing. So, you know, $3,000 and they don't need to see a breakdown of things. We have a separate invoice that would actually take off that quantity. So you can do that as well. So Heath, you might not need quantity as such. It's always going to be one. So you might need to take that off your invoicing and just have description and amount as an example. You may want to show the discount or you might not want to. It might be a discount that you don't want them to see. So you can change that and control that as well. Cool. All right. So we've got Mike's telling me we've got 45 minutes remaining, but that's okay. I think we're doing okay with time. So now remember when we talked about tracking and we said, hey, you can have this tracking functionality, and the demo version had this region, so you can track it by region. So remembering that you can set up your own tracking, but in this particular instance, it's region. You can set up by salesperson. You can do it by job. This is where you would actually go in to code it to that particular tracking item that you're tracking it to. You can add new ones on the go, but yeah, you can just go in there and go, yep, east side, this is all east side work. So now when I run my profit and loss, it is going to show the sales just for the east side jobs, which is fantastic. So I can see how are we going with our east side sales. So that's pretty much invoicing. That's it. And I, again, highly recommend. It's got all the videos that display when you go into the sales functionality, but play around with it, customize it to make it your own. If you one other thing that I really want to show you, it's got the preview functionality, so you can preview it and make sure that, you know, especially if it's the first time that you're doing it, how does it look for the customer? Oh, okay, that's how it looks. No, I don't want it to display like that. You know, you can change those things as well. A really cool function, Heath, I talked about how if you've got, you know, contracts or agreements that you're sending out, or even with yourself, Suze, if you're, I don't know, sending out photos or something to show that you did a good job, or I'm making that up, but you can actually upload files as well. Now you can actually choose to send that to the client, or you can choose not to send it to them. So just because you attach something to that particular invoice doesn't mean that it has to go to them, but you have that option definitely. So for instance, we might have an accounting package with the client and we want to attach it to the invoice for our records so that it helps us to find it. So we can, it's like effectively a filing system, then we can attach that there. Or if I can take a photo of something, particularly if we're in the purchases, and attach a copy of the receipt. So we'll go through that in more detail in the purchases, but remembering that you can attach files, which is really cool. And you don't have to send it to the customer, but you certainly can if you want. All right, so I'm going to approve that one. The reason why I'm approving it and why I'm not finalizing it is because in our business we have a two-step process. So for you, if you've got staff members that are raising invoices, but you want to give it the once over before you send it out. So Heath, you've got your VA that maybe she can come and help do some of the invoicing for you, but you don't want her to send it out. Then you can just have her, you know, do a draft invoice or put it through to approval, but it won't actually go out to the client until it's finalised. So that's really good if you've got junior staff members or, you know, other staff members who are raising invoices. Gives you an opportunity for them to do some of the work, but it still doesn't go out to your customer until you've given it the once over. So we do that in our team. If we're raising invoices, I always like to check it, make sure that the client's been charged appropriately. So Emily will put it through to the approved and I'll go, yep, happy with that, and I'll approve it and send it out. With the sales invoices, so let's say you've got payment, you can mark the payment off here as well. So it's been paid today. It's gone to my main business account, and they paid it via FPOS. Bam, I've marked the payment off. It's just as easy as that. But most people will actually do this through the bank rec, which we'll go through in just a moment. You can send the receipt, then, okay, they've marked off, and I'm going to send them the receipt straight away. It's got some awesome functionality. This here is the sales register, just for time purposes. I'm not going to go in too much detail because I think it's fairly intuitive, but I will just run through it fairly quickly. Invoice reminders are off, but I can turn them on. So that's the one that sends them those automatic reminders every 7 days. So as soon as they're overdue, it will send them a reminder. It saves you from having to make a phone call, which is really cool. Send statements, you can do that straight away. And it's got all these different tabs, so you can look at the people who've either paid or people that you're waiting on payment. Now, it has this repeating functionality. This is really good. I know here, if you've got people that pay monthly, you might want to set up a repeating or even yourself, Rachel. I'm not sure if you guys will use this. But if you've got people that are getting these regular invoices, we do this for our accounting packages. We'll set up a repeating invoice, which means we don't have to manually create it every month. Every 30 days or at the first of every month, it will automatically create an invoice, which is really cool. It's good for us because even though our clients are on accounting packages, their payment might bounce back, or maybe their credit card details change, or maybe something went wrong with their Easy Debit. By setting up that repeating invoice, we've got this mechanism where we can check to make sure that they are making their payments, which is really cool. All right, I will throw to questions. So if you've got questions about that sales area or that sales functionality, please feel free to do ask now. Otherwise, we'll move on to purchases. Another thing as well, if you're doing collections, you can put all those notes in there. Suze, that might be something for you if you're harassing people. You can add some notes, but you don't have to go into contacts. You can click on it straight away and it brings up their information. Bayside said that they will pay next week. You can put your notations in there. They'll say they'll pay next week, and I can save that down. That's really good if multiple people are using the system, or if you can't, you want to track the conversations you have with the client. I would ring Bayside back up next week and say, hey, I had a conversation with you last week and you told me you would pay. I've got it here in my notations. You can see that information as well, which is really cool. And the search functionality is fantastic. I talked about, Susie, for you guys, you might use the address as an example. So you can type in the address and then it will come up. You can search by either the amount, the reference, the contact, or the amount, which is really cool. All right, I think everyone's all over sales. Cool, so let's keep going. Purchases. Again, purchases is very, very similar, very much laid out like sales. You can watch the video tutorials on it. It can help you out with that. You can import the information, Suze. If you've got outstanding information that you want to import, like your customers and that, we'll be able to bring that information in. Straight away, I can go, oh, overdue. I can click on that and straight away see who owes me or who I owe money to, because this is accounts payable. Now, what I will show you in accounts payable that's different to sales is that you can create bank transfer files from accounts from the purchases, which is really cool. So rather than manually paying people, getting the bank details wrong, paying the wrong amounts, or it not being marked off correctly and then duplicating payments, I can come into here. So I've just gone, I'll go back into that and do that a bit slower. So just imagine I've gone accounts and purchases. I've decided I've got to pay everybody who's overdue. So I've clicked on the overdue and now it's opening up the overdue. Scrolling down, I've decided I want to pay everybody who's overdue. I don't like owing people money. So I've clicked on the top here and that's selected everybody. And now I can batch payment. So yes, I want to pay everybody. And I'm going to pay them as of today from the business bank account, and I'm going to do it as an EFT. And then I'll make that payment. So what you can see, some people don't have bank accounts. I obviously need to add those bank accounts before I process that payment. But I can make that payment now. Okay, and so what it's done is it's created, I can now create a batch file and I can import that into my banking system, which is now going to error because I am using the demo Xero. We can export that. It produces an ABA file, and then you can just jump into your banking and import that in. So I'll probably chat with you guys on a one-on-one basis because I know not everyone will use that functionality. We definitely use it here because we've got a few people that we pay bills to. It makes it a lot quicker for me to do it. A lot of you might just have direct debits, you know, or maybe not too many that you have to worry about doing that batch file. So you might find that it's just easier just to manually process that payment. But that functionality definitely is there and you can use that. I like to use it so you're not making typos and incorrectly paying people. And then once you do that, you can send the remittances out as well. So as soon as you pay people, you can send that remittance and then it's done and dusted. They get that email, they know you've paid them. They don't get confused about the money that they're receiving. It all gets managed very quickly and easy within that batch payment. So I might just ask you guys, of the people that are here, who here will be using or thinks that they will be using that batch payment functionality for the accounts payable? We've got a few people. Yep, cool. So yeah, if you are using it, and yeah, definitely, I think Julie that you would get a lot of benefit from that, and I'm happy to go through that in more detail. Obviously, to use that, you'll need to make sure that the bank accounts are entered and set up correctly. But you know, for a lot of our clients, once a week, we'll just go through batch payment, import it in. You know, what used to take 10-15 minutes now only takes less than 5 minutes, and we make sure that we're not making typos. Like back in the day, you'd invert the numbers and accidentally pay too much and all the rest of it. By doing it this way, it's getting rid of that human error. So we're exporting it, processing it, sending out remittances, really automating that whole payables process, which is really cool. So awesome. Now, let me know if you've got any questions about that. Other than that, we'll move through to the bank reconciliation functionality. I'll go through some high-level stuff there. Bank reconciliations and payroll, there can be a bit more to it, especially if you haven't really used, if you've never done bookkeeping before, or if you've never used an accounting system, it might be a bit much for you to take in, but it is designed to be introductory. So we'll go through somewhat high level. But throw any questions that you have at me. If you're still not sure, let me know, because then I can go with you through with you on a one-on-one basis and make sure that you do have a thorough understanding of how to use the system. Cool. All right, so let's do that. Cool. All right, so like I said before, we're on the dashboard now. So on the dashboard, it tells me I've got 26 items to reconcile. So for those who don't understand, what happens is the bank accounts link through with Xero, but it is delayed by 24 hours. So the transactions that we're seeing here will be a day old. So just be mindful that if you process payments today, it will not show up on Xero. Likewise, if a customer has made a payment, it's not going to show up. So if a customer says, no, I definitely paid that, you can see it on your bank account. You'll have to wait that 24 hours before it shows up on the bank reconciliation. So like I said at the start, bank reconciliation is really about making sure that your accounts, your bank statement matches up with what's in your accounts, and then coding them to a particular account so that you can have meaningful information and reports so you can understand what's happening within your business. To this day, I still do the bank reconciliations for my own accounts. Reason being is it gives me a good understanding for what's happening in the business. That being said, I've got a lot of clients that we obviously do their bank reconciliations. They might go, you know what, I check their bank accounts. I'm pretty happy. I know what's happening. So I don't know if that's a control thing for me, but it just helps me to keep my finger on the pulse. I know, Keith, I talked to you about that. I said, Heath, it might be good for you to do it. But if you feel like you've got a good handle on the business, then hey, by all means, outsource the bank reconciliation. For me, it doesn't take long to do it, which is probably why I still do it. It takes me 5 minutes, and that's because we've automated a lot of what we do. And also, I do this for a living, so it doesn't take me very long. But yeah, it's up to you guys. Some people have lots of transactions. So for us, the way that we set, the way our bank accounts work, we don't actually have a lot of transactions. If we did, I probably wouldn't do it. I will actually add to that though. Sorry, I say that I do the bank recs. I must admit, Emily marks off all the sales. So she does that daily. So I can't take full credit. What I mark off is just the purchases, so I can see the money going out of the business. But Emily marks off all the sales. So she pretty much does the hard work. I do the easy stuff. So yeah. Cool. All right. So for those who haven't seen it before, this is the bank reconciliation functionality. On this side here, it's the bank lines coming in. And on this side here, we've got how it's going to be coded within Xero. So that's on the right-hand side. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can handle bank reconciliations, but I've got a poll here and I want to throw it to everyone. I'm not expecting that everyone will know the answer to this, but I'm going to throw a poll to you now. Okay, and I'll just launch that. Okay, so we've got, I want to streamline the bank reconciliation process for reoccurring bank fees. What is the best way to handle this in Xero? So option number 1 is use the spend money to enter the expenses to bank fees. Number 2 is Xero memorizes the transactions or make a suggestion. Or number 3, set up a bank rule for bank fees so that it will auto match. So there are your 3 options. Select the one that you think is going to be the best way to handle this in Xero. Everyone's thinking about it. Still waiting on a couple of votes. All right, so we've got most votes in, so I'll just share that now with everyone. So we had most people say set up a bank rule for bank fees so that it will auto match, and then we had some people say use Xero memorizes transactions so it will make a suggestion. So given that we haven't gone through the bank rec training, I think everyone did really well. The answer is yes, you could probably allow for Xero to memorize the transactions. I personally would take control of that and set up a rule for the bank fees so that it will auto match. So I would say that that would be the best way to do it. Reason being is that sometimes Xero, it does have that suggestion functionality, but sometimes it gets it a little wrong. It gets confused sometimes. So I don't leave it up to the suggestion. I create a rule and make sure that it auto matches it for me. So cool. All right, so let's hide that and let's talk about how we would go about doing those things, or what the suggestions and what the rules actually look like, so you know how to use that functionality. So you can see this one here. So that is actually auto matching. So what this is that you've paid rent, and because I was remember when we did that purchases and I marked that payment off, because I marked that payment off for 1181, and it sees Truxton, it goes, hey, I think this payment relates to that payment that you marked off. And I go, yeah, that's what it is. I can just hit OK. So it goes green. Green means it's auto matching. Make sure that you're happy with it. Sometimes it gets it wrong. You go, oh no, that's not what it relates to. You would not OK that. You would go, well, actually, I want to find and match another invoice because that's not what it relates to. But in this instance, I'm happy. I'm going to click OK. So Xero, again, they've played with the psychology of people. I don't know about you, but I don't like to see these things outstanding, and I like to hit OK on these buttons. So as soon as I've got it right, I go, yes, that's right, OK. And this is why, again, I still do my bank reconciling, because often I come in here, and because you know, we've got rules in place, because things are auto matching and the suggestions, often I come in here and all these things just say OK. So for me to do the bank reconciliation, I'm just hitting OK, and it's really not too bad at all. But obviously you've still got to set it up correctly. I still need to make sure that they're being coded to the right expense. So that some people get a bit flippant with it and they just hit OK and it doesn't go to the right account. You still need to be mindful of what you're doing, but certainly what would otherwise be a laborious chore is now pretty fun. I like to think that it's fairly fun. Actually, I'll tell you a quick story. I've got a friend of mine who hates accounting, and I use that word. I don't like to use that word all the time, but she is very unfond of accounting, to the point that one time, many years ago, I was showing her how to use the system, and I think she fell asleep next to me. Perhaps that's my teaching style, I'm not sure, but And then when I moved her over to Xero, not only did she save $500 in bookkeeping per month, but she started to do the bank reconciling herself, and she loved it. In her business, there are a lot of automated transactions. Pretty much, she only had 5 things that happened in her business, and they happened every day. And because she had that memo, that suggestion, and those rules in place, it just automated her. So she went from paying $600 or $500 in bookkeeping to paying $50 for Xero for the subscription. So life-changing stuff, significant savings within her business. So hopefully it will do the same for you. Okay, so see, before it was green, but now on this one here, I've got this as blue. So this create here has come up as blue. The reason why it's come up as blue is because it is a rule. So in this demo file, a rule has been set up to say, whenever you see 7-Eleven, code it to 7-Eleven. I can view the details here, and I say, where is that actually going? And it's going to office expenses, and I go, yes, I'm happy with that. So I can just save that transaction down. So I can hit OK on that one. So that is a rule, and that's what a rule will look like. I just want to show you a suggestion, and then once I show you that, I'll show you how to create a rule. Okay, so I've got Copper Street Bakery here. So I'm going to type in Copper Street Bakery, and I'm going to put it to general expenses, and then I'm going to hit OK. So if for whatever reason it doesn't have a suggestion or auto match, you can see how quickly and easy it was for me to code it anyway, because I don't have to put the date in, I don't have to put the amount in, I just need to put in the supplier and the account that relates to. I can use the description, so I might put food for stuff or something, but you don't have to, that's an optional field. And then once that's done, I hit OK. So is that all good? I just want to make sure everyone's following me to that point, and that all looks straightforward. So put your hand up if you think that's straightforward. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to refresh and reload the screen, because remembering that I'm using a browser. And now what you will see is I've got a suggestion. So before I showed you the green ones, which is an auto match, and I showed you the blue box, which was a rule, but now I have a suggestion, which is another way that Xero does it. So with this suggestion here, it doesn't go blue, but it automatically puts the information in there. So it goes, well, last time you had Copper Street Bakery, this is what you did. Did you want to do the same thing again? And I might go, well, no, this time it's something else, so I might change that. But otherwise, I can just hit OK, and I don't have to enter that in again. So you can see where it becomes really exciting. I can see another one here, Central City Parking. I'm going to quickly put that in as well. Central City Parking, and that's for travel. I'm going to hit OK on that one. I'm going to refresh it. So that suggestion now goes into place. And now I can see these other Central City Parking. I'm obviously spending a lot of money on parking, and then I can just hit OK on these ones, and they'll just disappear. How cool is that? So big, and this is where you start to get, the more you do, the more you use Xero, the more it will start to memorize what you're doing and what these transactions are for. So as time goes on, you'll find that you'll see a lot of OK buttons here, which is really cool. No, the who isn't an optional field, it's a compulsory field. So thank you so much for your question, Tiara. The contact and the account, actually they used to be, hold on, let me check just in case it's changed. No, it is a required field. So you will need to put that information in, otherwise that OK button won't come up. So yes, so the who and the what are required fields. So you'll need to put those ones in at least. Okay, cool. So, so the idea with the bank reconciliation is I want to get through all these lines and for all of them to disappear. As soon as they disappear, then I know I'm finished. So now we have create rules. So you can see at the top of every transaction gives you an opportunity to create a rule. So I'm just looking at one that would be a good one to create a rule for. Okay, well, I'll show you anyway, even if it's not applicable in this demo file. So you just hit create rule. Now, the biggest trick with create rule, I'll tell you now, because I make often I will forget this, and this is where it gets people caught up. The biggest trick is changing the equals to contains. Reason being is because if you've got a payment, like say bank fee, often it's got all these reference numbers that come with it. So a portion of that particular description might not always be the same. But for instance, it might always say bank fee. It might say CBA, reference number, something or other. But I want to look for the words, or maybe it's even fee. I might even look for the words fee, or maybe I can look for the word interest. You know, anytime you see the word interest. So you can put that in as contain. Let's do the bank interest one. So, and then I want to make it the payee, so I don't even want to enter the description. And I'm going to take up, this is interest paid, and then code it to interest expense. So you can see there's all these different functionalities. I don't use, you can allocate certain amounts to fixed accounts. Most of the time you won't use it. I want to apply this rule to all my bank accounts. Every time I see the word interest, pick up the interest. And it's that easy. So you just say contains. Make sure you change that contains. That's my biggest tip. Put in the thing that you're looking for. Code it to the expense. You hit OK, save. And now that rule is created. So I don't even know if I have any interest in this particular demo account, but if I did, every time it see the word interest, it would be trying to code that to interest expense. So I've got some clients where I've spent hours setting up these rules because they've got so many different types of transactions. It can take a long time. Sometimes we'll do it just on an ad hoc basis. So you've got to assess every transaction and decide for yourself, is this something that happens all the time, or is it just a once-off transaction? If it's a once-off transaction, you probably don't need to create a rule. But if it happens all the time, create that rule, take the time to set it up properly, because I know for myself, I haven't created a rule for something and I've just allowed for it to suggest, but then the suggestion isn't always right. And I'm thinking, you know, so I'm like, I have to make sure that I'm disciplined, go in, create that rule. It's going to save you a lot of time down the track. Okay, to close and finish off that bank reconciliation function, I will show you one thing. We had a question at the start, and Michael had asked, what happens if I make a mistake? And that's a really good question, because what if you hit that OK button, you've just gone trigger happy, you're going click, 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 and you think, oh, I don't even know where that went, or I made a mistake. Good news is if you go onto the account transaction, so it's the top tab here, you can do a search, and let's say it was something for Dick Smith. I accidentally, I coded it to the wrong thing, or I just want to look for all my transactions with Dick Smith. I can come in here. I've got 2 transactions here. I know that I can click on that and fix it up, okay? So account transactions, once you're in the bank reconciliation functionality, you hit on that one there. That's where you can go to edit and view transactions as well. I also use that if I've got a client saying, or if a customer says, no, I definitely paid you, I paid $800. I don't know when, but I paid you the money. I can do a search for $800, search for that transaction and say, yes, I can see the payment here. It came in last week. And so it's just a good way of functionality for you to search your transactions. So you can edit those ones and just have that search functionality. All right, so I'm going to just answer some questions just with that bank reconciliation functionality. So if we have more than an account to reconcile, is there one account you should reconcile before the other? No, so that's a really good question, Tiara. So what it does now, and actually they've improved this now, you can actually set up bank rules if you're transferring between the accounts. But the great thing about Xero, and I'll show you just now, but if you've got 2 accounts, let's say you've got your main transaction account and you've got your savings account, you can do a transfer, so a bank transfer. And let's say I want to go to my savings account, hit OK. When I go into my other account, so if I go into my savings account now, that transaction will be in there. So mine unfortunately never had that functionality previously, but the good news is that you're not double entering. So that's fantastic. It means that you can go in there and you don't have to re-enter it back in. So I don't think there's necessarily a particular account that you need to do over the other. They do link with each other, so I think that's fine. So that's a really good question. Okay, so if the accounts cross over, okay, yep. So yeah, so that, yeah, that's fine. So the accounts cross over, that's fine. I hope I've answered that question. And yeah, so you can set up your PayPal account as well. So you can set up your PayPal account so you can reconcile that as well. And you can do split rules as well. Play around with it. There's, like, to be honest, there's lots of tricks that even clients have been using it for ages are still working it out. But you can split the different accounts. You just got to go to the add details functionality, and then you can break it down. So let's say I went and bought fuel, but I also bought myself a chocolate bar. Then I would then have to go into further detail. So if you've got a transaction that it's not just one particular thing, it's multiple things, you'll have to go into that details functionality and break that down. So we're going to go into payroll now. Before we get ticking, actually, I just don't know if, hopefully it works in the demo. We never got a chance to test it this morning, so I'm just wondering if it even works in the demo version. Hopefully it does. Because I'm thinking a lot of times when I do training with clients, I'm showing them on their own platform. So hopefully it will work. But whilst it's loading and thinking about working for me, I might just throw it to you guys and just check who's already using payroll. So if you've already used payroll, can you put your hand up for me? And this will give me an idea if you're already using payroll. Okay, yep. Thanks, Mike. Yep, cool. Got a couple of people already using payroll. All right, so for you guys that are already using it, I'm hoping that this will help to just make sure that you know all the, any tips and tricks, I guess, that you need to know. This is designed to be somewhat of an introductory webinar. So I will go through those things, but please be mindful that payroll can actually be quite involved. There's a lot of different things that you need to be aware of. So I think that even after going through it, there will probably still be some questions that you have. I've still got clients who've been using it for years that still come to us with questions. We've got Gina Green, who's our payroll specialist. So she's actually qualified as a payroll specialist. And so if you get stuck, give us a call and contact us, and we'll make sure that we can assist you with those things, or again, use that help functionality when you're getting stuck. Now, when you use payroll, so if you jump on and use the payroll functionality in your Xero, if you've got it set up, then you can take a tour, and then it should step and guide you through that setup. I don't know if anyone, I don't think anyone here actually joined us for our payroll webinar that we had. I think it was the start of this week, I think it was. But if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend that you watch that video. You can type in, I think we circulated an email out. You can also go onto our Facebook, but then you can also go into, we put it everywhere. You can also go onto YouTube and search Hannans Finance, and then our channel will come up. And the reason why I highly recommend that you watch it is because there's some really, really big changes. And a lot of you that we have here are self-employed. You might be a working director and think that it's not applicable for you because you don't have staff members, but it is applicable. So anybody who draws a wage from their business has to be on single touch payroll. And what that means is when you draw a wage from your business, you need to recognize it and process a pay slip, because we're now moving to real-time information that's going to be delivered to the ATO. So it's in place from the 1st of July for businesses with 20 or more employees. So you'll already have that in place. We don't have anybody, I think, with us tonight who fits in that category, because most of you are small business owners. But if you've got more than 20 employees, it's already going to be in place. And what that means is that as soon as you process that payroll, the ATO will have that information. And effectively, it will move to the point that that payment summary information will be automated. You'll be able to see it in My Tax straight away. If you've got outstanding super, the government will know about that straight away as well. So it's a bit scary because they're going to have a lot of information on you, and it's going to make it harder for people to hide, I guess, with certain things, because the information will be real time. But, you know, if you're a small business, you still have to the 1st of July 2019. Please watch that video. It just goes into a little bit more detail. But again, if you're still not sure, get in contact with us and we'll run through it. Cool. All right. Yeah, so if you watch I've just had a question from Chelsea. Thank you, Chelsea. So with the group certificates, or the payment summaries as they're now called, you said last year's employees, if it was for last year's, they should have already received, the current finance. Yeah, okay. So last year, so last calendar year, but they're still the same financial year. So with those guys now, potentially we can already generate a payment summary. Because they're no longer on wages. We can actually do that straight away for you. So I'm writing that down now. I've got pen in hand, and I will shoot an email through to Gina, who's our payroll specialist. She's ready and raring to go, and she's waiting for the last pay to be processed for everyone so that she can do that. But generally that payment summary can go out when your last pay run has been run. So if you've had employees but no longer have them, you can process it. But if you're still processing wages and it's coming up, wait till your last wage payment, and then you can start to do the payment summaries. Before we send them out, Gina gets involved. She makes sure that the wages matches up with the BAS, that your accounts match up with your payment summaries, and we reconcile it, because the last thing we want to do is issue it to the employees and find out that it's incorrect. So she does all their checks and balances. It has to be given, the actual due date is the 14th of July, but I won't go spend too much time talking about that. It's all covered in that webinar. If you haven't seen that payroll webinar or the recording for it, please let us know. We can send you the link for it as well. Okay, so with Payrun, so if you're setting up the payroll within here, you can. Another really cool feature with Xero is that you can automate the superannuation payments. That's really cool. You have to go through a whole heap of setup and functionality. It doesn't take very long at all. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up. What it will do is, and unlike the accounts payable where I say it doesn't automatically process the payment, in Xero it will actually take the money out of your account. So they outsource it to somebody else. And this who specializes in superannuation, and they will transfer that money to the respective super funds for each of your employees. So if they've got AMP, SunSuper, BusQ, whoever they have, you don't have to do any of that anymore. You just press a couple of buttons, say pay super, and they'll take that money out of your bank account once somebody, so you get a text message. So I get a text message for a couple of our clients, and I'm the authorizer. So it comes to me, I put the authorization code into Xero, and then it will direct debit the accounts within 24 hours. So really handy, but obviously it has that extra layer of protection because we don't want anyone just taking money out of the account. Timesheet, this might be handy if you've got clients who are using, we don't actually have a lot of people who use that functionality because it's not very good, to be honest. It can be good, but it only gives you, like, for instance, tell me the total hours that you worked, time and a half, double time. It doesn't break it down per day, so it's not very handy for a lot of people who do use timesheets, but by all means, jump in there and play around with that. It has leave functionality. Again, this is really cool because, and it's changed as well. They never used to display it like this. I must admit I'm not completely au fait with this change because it never used to be like this. But basically what happens is the client can go in and request leave, and then you can approve it. And what happens is, because you've got that leave in there, as soon as it comes up, you don't have to remember that the staff member has leave. It will automatically add it to their pay slip. And then again, there's all these videos all throughout Xero. So if you get stuck, press the button, watch the video. You get stuck still, give us a call and we can help set that up for you. All right, so that's payroll, that's the leave functionality. Now, let's say you actually want to set up, now before you start setting up the employees, you've got to go into the overview, and then I'll go back to those other sections. And then what it will do, it will set up a wizard, which will look different to this because this is obviously already set up. But what it does, it takes you into payroll settings. And the key things that you need to set up for when you're processing payroll for the first time is things like everything that's covered here. So the account that the money's going to go from, I would leave that. I wouldn't change that. That tends to be correct. So you probably don't need to change that. You might want to change whether or not you show the annual salary. You might want to add a company logo to your pay slip so it's nice and professional. Go into calendars. Okay, so this is where you decide what the pay period is. So for us, we pay wages on Wednesday, and the pay period runs from Wednesday through to Tuesday. So I would add that in as a weekly pay. I pay everyone weekly. I'm going to start paying them as of Wednesday. Oh, sorry, the start date is that's when the start of the pay period is. And the first time I'm going to pay them, I can't remember what date I made that, is the 13th. So my pay period is 6, it's weekly, and the first day I'm going to pay them is that date. So likewise, if you pay fortnightly, twice monthly, then you can make all those changes there. So I can go add, and now that's a particular payroll calendar that I can attach my employees to. So that's really handy. Like if most of our business only have one type of pay period, it might be weekly or fortnightly, but for some other bigger businesses that we have, they might pay some weekly, some fortnightly. They might pay the admin staff every other fortnight and pay the laborers or the factory workers weekly. And so you can set them up on the different payroll periods. You shouldn't have to change that. You can add in different holidays, but it will generally know what state you're in and it automatically pick up the holidays, but you can add that in. And what will happen is if you've got a public holiday, it will automatically recognize the public holiday for your staff member. Pay item. So this is really good if you've got time and a half, double time, you've got special rates. Go in there and you add in the different earning types as well. You might have different allowances. If you're in construction, you might have travel allowance, tool allowance, and the particular rates, you can go in and set that up as well. Now super. So you'll need to set up a super fund for each of your employees. So if you don't have an employer number, leave it blank. You don't have to put that in, but if you've got a client, an employee rather, who has a super fund, let's say it is AMP, so I type in AMP, yep, it's that one. And I don't have an employer number, I just go add and leave it blank. And now I can now set that up for the employee. So make sure when you're setting it up, use the payroll wizard, go through that. This is what it looks like here, payroll settings. It talks you through what you need to do, but you need to have all these things set up, the calendar, the super, the pay items, before you even set up the staff member. Does anyone have any questions on that one? Or is that all pretty good? All good? I'll take the no responses as all good. Fantastic. All right, so let's do the adding the staff members in. So I can't process wages if I have no staff members. So it sounds straightforward. Again, you can use the video here, which will work you through it, but we're going to go through it now. Okay, so add a new staff member. So this is very straightforward. I'm going to add in Mr. John Smith. Oh, no, his middle name is Harry, I've decided. Last name Smith. And his date of birth is the 17th of November. This is my date of birth, 85. So John is 32 years old. Marketing manager sounds good. And he is non-binary. He's male in this instance. Okay, so, and then I've got his phone number. He doesn't have another phone number. That's his phone number. Email address, really important, because that is where his pay slips are going to go. So make sure, it does say optional, but if you're sending out pay slips, it's got to go in there. So make sure you put that information in. It is at 123 Somewhere Street, and that is in Loganholme, good suburb. Okay, it's populating it all for me. You might put in the emergency contact. Now, that emergency contact, really important. I know some people just skim past that, but we had an incident where a friend of ours, one of the guys had I think it was like a brain aneurysm or something strange, a stroke, sorry. He had a stroke at work, and they realized that they had no information about his next of kin, which was pretty scary. So make sure that you insist on getting those emergency contact details. We have a staff form. So if you don't have your own staff form, let us know. We can send that through to you. It's just a generic staff form. It's non-branded. It's white labeled. Make sure you get that information from your staff members. On our staff form, it has a customer details, client, employee details. So I'm so used to saying customer and client. Has the employee details, the super, the tax file number, and some of that other information we talked about. Okay, so that's really cool. I'll save that down. I can imagine some of you are excited to get in and, oh, state's not required. We're in Queensland. Excited to play around with Xero and set this up yourself, which will be really cool. And that's the best way to learn, let's be honest. Okay, so employment. Okay, so with the employment, and you'll see at the top here, it's got the salary and the earnings year-to-date shaded. It does that just in case you've got someone looking over your shoulder and understands that these things are confidential. That's why it has those things shaded. Okay, so with that employee, let's say they're starting today, you can use classification if you want. You don't have to, that's optional. And we created that weekly calendar. We want them to start on that one. The earnings is ordinary earnings. So again, this is that type, one of the types that we set up in the payroll settings. And so if you've got different types of employees, you might have qualified staff members, labourers, carpenters, admin workers. They might be on different rates and penalties. So you would set that up for them. And add the super in. We've just set up that AMP account that we set up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is their account number. And now we've got that set up. So really important that you set up that super fund. If you don't set it up, it will go to a default account of your choosing, but even then you have to have a default account. Alrighty, let's save that. And then we've got taxes. I can see here we've just hit on 8 o'clock, but this won't take too much longer. So hopefully you guys can still stick around for that little bit longer. But we're almost there. Okay, so with the taxes, make sure you put in the tax file number, obviously. If you don't have the tax file number, you should actually be holding extra tax from them. So make sure you put in your tax file number. Now, what's really cool, I don't know if anybody ever did one of those, what do you call them? I don't know what they're called anymore, tax file declaration reports. You don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to send it manually away to the ATO. You can actually lodge it using Xero, which is fantastic. So you can put in all the employer's staff details, full time, and then you can actually lodge and file that to the ATO. Now it has some extra buttons that you tick here. So if they've got HEX, or if they want to withhold, maybe they want to withhold extra tax because they want to get a nice refund at the end of the year, you can put that in there as well. It's telling me I don't have a valid tax file number, and that's because I've made it up. So I'm going to cancel out of that one because it's going to keep erroring for me. Okay. Yes, leave. Just waiting for that to load. Okay, so the other key things, the other ones are pretty straightforward. Bank account, that's straightforward. You can have multiple bank accounts. If you've got a staff member that says, hey, I've got $100 that goes to my savings, I want $400 that goes to a rent account and pay the rest to another account, you can do that for them. If you're that way, if you're that generous, you can do that. Pay slips. This is the big one here. So we've got the staff member, we've put in the super, we've put in their tax, but now we need to look at, how we pay them and how much they receive. So that's pretty important. And by putting it in here, you don't have to manually key it in all the time. So you can have them either on an hourly rate or you can put them on a salary. So if they get $1,500 a week and that's what they get, end of story, doesn't matter how many hours they work, you put them on a salary. But if they work on an hourly rate, then you would enter that rate in. So I'm going to go fixed rate, and I'm going to say that they get $30. So that they normally work 40 hours at 30 hours, $30 per hour. So the good news is that if for whatever reason they only work 28 hours, I can just go in and change that, but that's what it will default to. with this particular person, they also have union fees that they've asked me to take from their wage, and they pay $20 every week. They've told me that they've got super. I'm just going to pay them the SGC. So that's the 9.5%. That's just the statutory rate. So let's put that on there for them as well. And that's it. It's as simple as that. So simple as that. I say that, but I've got some clients who've got a bit more going on. They've got extra allowances. Their staff members might pay extra in super, or they want to be reimbursed for something because of paid for some things. Then you've got those additional lines in there as well. But that's where you go and set it up. And what haven't I done here? I've put it to an allowance instead of an ordinary earnings type. So I've just got to go and change that. But you can see there how that error popped up. I didn't do the right thing. So it told me, hey, you haven't done something right here. And it popped up with an error. So good news is it lets you know if you're not doing the right thing. And now I've been successful, which is fantastic. I'm now going to process the pay run. So let me know if you have any questions on that one. Otherwise, because of time, we're now going over time. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Okay, so with payroll pay runs, so now I can just go and add a pay run, but what's going to happen is, see that fortnightly one? I'm not going to be able to add that one because it's going to error and tell me that I can only have one draft pay at one time. So I've got to finish that one off before I do a new one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a weekly pay. That was that one that we set up. I'm going to go next. And Mr. John Smith should be showing up now in my pay run. And he's not showing up, and the reason is because he hasn't started yet, and that was the date that I set it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that draft pay run, and rather than show you Mr. John Smith, is I'm going to show you this fortnightly one just to show you how that comes through and how it works. So I've got 3 staff members. It has them ticked here. I can go, you know what, Oliver, he didn't work that week, so I'm going to untick him, or I can retick him again. I'm going to go into Sally's payment and make sure she's being processed correctly. Okay, so Sally's actually, I told her I'd pay her $32 an hour this week because she worked really hard, or maybe she only worked 60 hours. I can go in and make those changes there. I can see here that she, not only is she paying her, well, she's only getting 9%, so she's not even getting a 9.5%, but she's making some extra contributions. So she's salary sacrificing some extra money to super. And she's accrued some leave at the same time. So that's pretty much it, guys. Again, I mean, I've used accounting systems and all different systems, and I've been using Xero for a while. I think it's quite straightforward. There are lots of help functionalities all throughout the way. And if you get stuck, give us a call. We can always do a one-on-one GoToWebinar, and so GoToMeeting, and we can jump into your system. We can share our screen, or we can jump into your screen and guide you through it so you know exactly what you're doing, which is fantastic. So if you want to know more about payroll, well, firstly, make sure you go in and you test it out and make sure that you know, get a good handle on how to use it. But if you get stuck, you know, let us know and we can make a time to go through it with you. So I'm just going to flip back here. That's our contact details, guys. For some of you who, I think everyone here is a client, but if not, that's our contact information. I know we had some people this morning who weren't even clients of ours, which is more than fine. This is a free webinar for everyone. We're more than welcome to help anyone that joins us today. So if you've got other people within your organization that want some or require some Xero training, you think this has been useful for yourself, maybe they should also participate, let us know, because next time we do the Xero training, we'll make sure that that we'll send the link out to them as well. That's our information. So what we'll do now, firstly, before we close off, so I want to thank everyone for attending. Really appreciate it, especially on a Friday night. At the moment, my family's out playing. My son Luke, he's got football tonight. Fancy 11-year-old playing football at this time. I think he's got to be exhausted. But yeah, I appreciate you so much for joining us this evening. Hopefully it's been useful for you. I hope that you've got some tips from tonight. but I'm going to hang around. I'm going to close off the video so you don't see me because it looks a bit funny watching me respond to people. So I'm going to close off the video and I'll turn off the voice, but I'm still going to be here on chat. I'm going to answer off any questions that you have. And then once I've done that, or by all means, and then I'll shoot off, but by all means, if you've got no questions, feel free to close off the webinar. You will get a questionnaire when you do close it off. Please complete that. But just make sure that we're structuring these webinars so that they're helpful for you. If we're going too fast, not fast enough, or if we're not covering off things, let us know. I've now spent 4 hours talking, actually 8 hours if you include all my meetings. So I'm now starting to lose my voice, but so I'll let you guys go. Have a wonderful weekend, guys, and thanks so much for joining us.